Good afternoon and welcome to China. It's Boulder World Cup number 3 of the season and we're live in Chongqing. Lying at the meeting point of the huge Yangtze and Jialang rivers, Chongqing has a long and varied history, with the first recorded settlement here appearing in 316 BC. However, it was not until the mid-20th century that the city really began to emerge as a powerhouse of industrial China. Between the 1940s and 1990s, the population exploded from 1 million to over 28, and that figure now stands at 32 million people, making Chongqing the most populous city in China. Home to some stunning new buildings, countless temples, and the famous Great Hall of the People from where the city is governed, Chongqing is the cultural and economic hub of the Upper Yangtze Basin. 2018 marks the IFSC's 7th visit to Chongqing, and this is the first of 4 Chinese cities that will host a climbing World Cup this season. And as you can see, good news, the sun is shining here in Chongqing. We had some terrible weather last night, a fierce electrical storm, heavy rain. Part of the climbing mats did get wet, sadly, and this morning was very humid. It was overcast for the first hour or so of the semi-final and gradually cleared up. And as you can see, beautiful blue sky above now, sun is shining. Conditions good, if a little warm, if a little humid, but more than good enough for these athletes to compete. Sadly, we had a problem with the timer on the speed, so if you're wondering why the speed final didn't happen, and you haven't seen the IFSC's social media feeds, the speed final has been pushed back and will take place after the bouldering final due to an electrical problem with the timing system. So here we have our 6 female finalists: Stasha Geo, Katja Kadik, Catherina, Capri, Anova, Jessie Piltz, Akira Noguchi and Miho Nanaka. Those last 2, I have to say, in the semi-final looked somewhat out in a league of their own. 4 tops for them and nobody else could manage more than 2. It's a whole new set of boulders this time though. As for the men, absolutely star-studded final. Kokora Fuji, Yone Kruder, Jakob Schubert, Sean McCullough, Legacy Rubsov and Jan Hoyer, all 6 of them Boulder World Cup winners in the past. And they've got a hard set of boulders to take on. If you watch the semi-final, you'll know there were not many tops in either men's or women's, particularly on the women's side. And again, it's another hard set. In Moscow we saw a lot of tops, mistakes really penalised. I think it's going to be a different style of final here this evening. Tops will be incredibly valuable. 2, maybe 3, might be enough to win it, we shall see. It's only the route setter's best guess, as ever. Climbers always have the power to surprise. And I was just on the mats then and had a look at that boulder, and Jakob Schubert is reading it right. You do have to turn around that blue volume. This is, of course, if you're new to watching bouldering finals, this is the observation period. The climbers get 2 minutes to look en masse at each boulder. Women and men are currently on their 3rd boulder. This men's 3 closest to the camera that you can see Yone Kruder having a quick look at. Reasonably basic, but incredibly powerful. There's not that much to figure out in terms of the moves and the technicalities, just a case of cranking hard. And I'm minutes away from being joined by a Chongqing finalist of 2017. I will keep you hanging who it is. Just me for a couple more minutes. And there you can see the top of that men's 3 that I mentioned earlier. You make your way up those 3 half-moon volumes on the right, and you're heading over to the pink screw-on hold on the right. There's Akio on the left and Miho. Jessie Piltz joining them. As I say, the semi-final, Miho and Akio look to just be out in a league of their own, really. But it's very different conditions, quite different boulders. The women have a slab in the final, they didn't in the semi-final. And as ever, in 2018, we will be splitting the finals. So it'll be the women climbing first, so we'll have their final in its entirety, and then the men. Each climber attempts each boulder. We've got a maximum of 4 minutes on each boulder. And we've got just under 20 seconds left to finish observing the third boulders. Good crowd here in Chongqing. It's been one of the really pleasant aspects of being here, that crowd has grown steadily. In 2016, my first time here, we had a small crowd. Then in 2017, it was our first visit to this current venue, the Hai'an Climbing Park. We had a reasonable crowd. And in 2018, they're spilling out the side. So good news. Climbing is growing in this Chinese megacity. So women's 4, again, a hard boulder. Remind you in Moscow how many tops there were. Some people like that, they like that style of final, but very, very tough boulders here. We are expecting nobody to get 4 tops. Women's 4 could well be the key, could be the one that separates them in the final reckoning. 1, maybe 2 tops of this boulder, we shall see. I tried to give up making predictions years ago, but seem to always fall back into it. And joining me, fresh off the bus from the hotel, Alana Yip. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice to be here.
And you've only just arrived. Did you have a chance to have a quick look at the boulders?
Nope, I ran directly from the bus.
So you are on sighting.
Yes.
And you climbed earlier on in the semi-finals, a hard set.
Yeah, they were very powerful.
And it looks like we've got more of the same again. The women this time have a slab, which they didn't in your round. But on the whole, it is a super steep wall here in Chongqing.
It is, yeah. There's an area for one vertical problem, one slab problem, and the rest is overhanging. So, yeah, I'm pretty tired. And I can't imagine what these guys are feeling.
Well, it's a factor, isn't it? Because not only is it humid and hot, and you've already done the qualifiers and the semis, but they were hard boulders, and it is particularly brutal conditions. And that man that we're looking at there, who you know well, Sean McCall, also took part in the speed qualification in between the semis and the finals.
Yeah, so whereas these other guys probably got to go back to the hotel and rest a bit, Sean's been at the venue since like 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, it's a long day, and you never really warm up or cool down. I mean, at the start of the day, he had the semi-finals. I saw him immediately after the semi-finals with his running trainers on, going for a jog to get warm for the speed.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, because it's a very different demand for speed. You have to do a lot of plyometrics, a lot of fast twitch movement. So although you're warm, like your body's physically warm from bouldering, there's so much more stuff to do to warm up for speed.
How will the warm-ups differ generally?
Yeah, like I said, you do a lot more plyometrics for speed climbing. So a lot more jumping and sprints, wall sprints, that sort of thing. So
in the case of Sean, when he's just been bouldering, how much time would you estimate he would need to sort of transfer into being warm for speed?
I'm not sure exactly for Sean.
He's having a pretty thorough warm-up, which surprised me given the volume of work he'd already done that day.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know he was definitely doing a number of warm-up runs. In the warm-up area, there's the speed climb in 3 parts or something with the speed auto belays. So that's nice for the competitors. We can go warm up on that.
I've just been told we are going to have a slight delay before we get underway here. So while we wait, here's a quick look at some of the action from the semi-final. Humid conditions, the lingering result of a huge storm last night, and a tough set of boulders made for a highly competitive semi-final where tops were very hard to come by. Jessie Piltz, who we're more used to seeing in lead World Cups, managed 2 tops, a result which only 2 women could better, Akio Noguchi and Miho Nanaka, both of whom claimed 4 tops, an amazing achievement in any semi-final, but doubly impressive today. None of the men managed 4 tops, and nobody below 12th place claimed 1, such was the difficulty level. Jan Hoyer and Alexei Rubtsov got 3 though, and will be joined in an all-star final by Sean McCall, Jakob Schubert, Yerne Kruder and Kokoro Fuji. So fresh from a highly successful semi-final, we've got Akio Noguchi. Congratulations, that was an amazing performance.
Thank you so much.
And did you realise on the last boulder you were already in the final?
Yes, yes.
But you wanted to do it anyway?
I fight more.
And what were the boulders like? It was hard boulders today.
The second one, bit powerful, and the third one, so crimpy and the long moves, big moves, and the last one, bit tricky one.
Okay, well you climbed fantastically and we can't wait for the final. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
So we've got Miho Nanaka, 4 tops on a very tough set of boulders. Miho, congratulations, that was amazing.
Thank you very much.
How did you find the boulders? It looked like you climbed really well.
I don't think so. I'm very tired because I had so much attempts. So yeah.
Do you think you will be okay for the final? What do you do now? You relax a little bit?
Yeah, I want to treat my body. Yes, and then I will prepare for the final.
Okay, well, good luck. You were amazing in the semi-final, and good luck for the final.
Thank you very much. I will do my best.
So we've just watched the semi-finals. Apologies, by the way, if things are a bit loud. We've got the speed practice going on behind. We'll try and speak nice and loud for you. But Hiroshi, our chief route setter, what did you think of the semi-finals? It looked like maybe the women was too hard, but then Akio and Miho did all 4.
Yeah, women's is a bit hard, but for Akio and Miho, maybe not so hard for them. Yeah.
But what do you do now for the women? Are you going to change the final boulders, or do you keep them the same? Because for 18 climbers, maybe they were too hard, but for 2, they weren't too hard. It's difficult for you.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to decide the level of bouldering problems, but I think maybe we try to provide much variety of style.
And what about in the men's side? Were you quite happy with the level?
I think so. The men's is this time is the semi-final. Problem is more climbing. Yeah, I mean a real climbing. So you have to pull and so push yourself hard, and then yeah, I'm happy with the result and then yeah, their performance.
And what can we expect from the final? What is the style? Is it more of the same or a bit different?
Maybe you will see. And then yeah, I hope you enjoy the many styles and yeah.
Okay, well thank you for all your hard work and for your time. So we've heard from the chief route setter and the 2 climbers that topped all 4 of his boulders in the semi-finals. What will he change for the finals? Time to find out. And we've still just got a few minutes before we get underway here in Chongqing. But Alana, conditions have really changed this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
You climbed in the qualifiers yesterday, semi-finals this morning. How tough is it to climb in this humidity? Because to me, standing on the mats and touching the holes, it feels like they're pretty desperate conditions.
I don't think it's necessarily that much different from other competitions. Yeah, it's humid, but say compared to Meiringen, where it was in an enclosed space, it actually gets really hot and humid on the mats as well. So I don't think it's that much different, actually.
Okay, I'm busy making excuses for the climbers and you're knocking them down. Come on, this should crush. Well, the boulders they'll be climbing on were set by a really strong international team led by Hiroshi Kana. So I'm here with our chief route setter, Hiroshi. He's been here since Monday with his team setting here on the Chongqing wall. And Hiroshi, you've had some quite difficult conditions over the week.
Yes, because the weather is a little bit tricky. Some days very hot, some days rain, and it's very cool. But the other things is good, yeah, going well.
And what holds are you using here? It looks like you have a huge choice of holds.
Yes, because here is the Gecko King's factories in Chongqing, so we can ask as much as we want. Yes, but finally we make their storage empty.
You've used all the Gecko King holds in Chongqing.
Yes.
Do you have a plan for each boulder? So if it's hotter than you expected or colder, do you have a plan how you might change it, or you just decide in that moment?
Yeah, I would decide just before the final round, or before the semi-final round. So, yeah, but we have some options, for some to tweak, change, for easy version or harder version.
Well, the forecast is for rain for the qualifiers, but hot and sunny on Sunday, so hopefully we get that. But quickly, explain who your team is. We have quite an international team here.
Yes, I have 3 international route setter from IFSC, me and Romain from France, and then Thomas from Poland, and then the other Chinese route setters. They are very good, and we are a very strong team.
Okay, well, let's hope it's a great show, and thank you for your time. We'll let you continue working. And that is the scene here in Chongqing. While we were watching that interview, Atlanta, you were just saying about the different holds here.
Mm-hmm. So the majority of the holds here, if not all of them, I think are produced by a company, Chongqing, that you don't really get outside of China.
Yeah, we've got a couple of others, but not many. The vast majority, I believe up to this is the first round where it hasn't been exclusively Chongqing, but it's still the vast majority of Chongqing.
Yeah, anyway, the texture of these volumes are much friendlier on your skin than, say, flat hold cheetah, and that really aggressive fiberglass texture. So after 2 rounds, my skin is still perfect.
That's a nice change.
Yeah, very.
But interestingly, the surface of the wall itself is really rough. Mm-hmm. The white panels themselves are very high friction, almost sharp.
Mm-hmm. My shirt was sticking to them a lot.
Yeah, the route setter said they did all the testing with their shirts off, because if you had a t-shirt on, if you got really close to the wall, it actually affected your ability to do the move.
But wouldn't that hurt if you fell on your chest then?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. You can see there on the screen, current world rankings, top of the pile, joint top of the pile, Yanni Garnbrett, 180 ranking points. She's not here in China. Miho Nanaka is though, and so is Akira Noguchi, Fanny Gibert, and Shauna Coxey, and Petra Klingler. The current top 6, Katja Kadik, Collier Solsat, and Jessie Piltz, the rest of the top 10. And we've got the men's. Top 2 are here in the men. Yone Kruda and Tomoe Narasaki, again, both on 180 ranking points. That means a first and a second for both of them. Alexei Rubtsov is in 3rd place, 116. Tomoe just missed out on this evening's final, so he won't be climbing, and neither will the man in 4th, Jongwon Chon. He had a clash with a Korean selection competition, and unfortunately he couldn't come to Chongqing. He said it's his favourite World Cup, so I think he's a bit distraught at missing it. Tomoaki Takata is in 5th place, Rei Sugimoto, and then Gregor Vozonik, after that amazing performance in Moscow, is up into 7th. Jakob Schubert climbing this evening 8th. Gabriele Moroni and Sergei Topishko rounding out the top 10 in the current overall standings. Awful long way to go in this bouldering season. And there you can see the Hai'an Climbing Park. That's actually the athletes area, the public, just off to the right out of shot. And this is the starting list for this evening's competition. As I mentioned earlier, and as has been the case throughout 2018, we will have a split final. So the women will be climbing first. It'll be Stasha Geo at first, followed by Katja Kadik, Catherina, Capri, Anova, Jessie Piltz, Akira Noguchi, and Miho Nanaka. As with the previous round in the semi-finals, it's in reverse order. So Stasha qualified in 6th place, Miho and Akio 2nd and 1st respectively. See there, Kokora Fuji, the only Japanese representative in the final. That's quite unusual these days. Yone Kruda, Jakob Schubert, Sean McCall, Alexei Rubtsov, and Jan Hoyer.
So great to see Sean back in the final. So excited to watch.
We can have a bit of bias here, that's okay. You're allowed it. Yeah, perhaps the strongest men's field, certainly I can remember, for a long time. That's a all previous World Cup winner final.
Oh yeah. It seems like it's quite often that way these days. Anyone in semifinals kind of looks like they could win the comp almost.
Sun just beginning to set in Chongqing. We've had just about every type of weather in the last 24 hours. I mentioned earlier we had the most spectacular electrical storm last night.
during speed practice. That was kind of insane.
Well, later on, I actually saw a boat getting hit by lightning on the Yangtze.
Actually?
Yeah, actually hit the boat. I mean, I assume they have a lightning conductor. You must be used to the weather, but still, it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And it carried on raining all night. I woke up in the night, it was still raining. It was still raining when we came into the venue this morning.
Yeah.
Cleared up and we got a lovely evening. The big problem now is the heat. You can see a few umbrellas there in the crowd. As I said, that's the athletes and coaches area. And right at the back of the shot there, that's where the podium will take place. This is a purpose-built climbing park on the edge of Chongqing.
Yeah, it's on top of a hill, so it's kind of a view of lots of apartment buildings.
Yeah, it's
Chongqing, I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite a hard city to get your orientation.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazingly situated. It's the same venue we had in 2017. Might look familiar because there was a lot of clips made and a lot of discussion about Jongwon Chon's top or non-top here in Chongqing when he thought he topped the boulder and even celebrated, if I remember rightly, but actually hadn't. It wasn't immensely clear where the top hold was. But route setters, from what I could tell on the maps, have avoided any such confusion this year. And you climbed here in the finals last year. Must bring back good memories, being back in isolation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was a fun event last year. This year too.
What's it like, the final 5 minutes before you go out? Talk the audience through what the climbers will be seeing now, where they'll be. What's the experience like?
They're probably in the transit zone. That's just on the left of the screen, sort of behind that gigantic TV screen, just waiting in line. I guess Stasha will be first there, and yeah, just waiting.
Is there much conversation?
Between some of the competitors. Generally the ones who are more fluent in English obviously will be conversing more. But I found last year it was a great atmosphere. Most people were pretty chatty and we were joking around and laughing. Even discussing beta right up until the first person went out.
I was going to ask, is the conversation discussing what you've just seen in observation, or do people just generally tend to just keep it a bit more light-hearted in the last few minutes?
There was a bit of both, I think. Yeah. Is Stasha getting ready?
There's Stasha. Really good to see her in the final. I mentioned it a couple of times in the semi. She's looked so strong in every qualifying round of the 3 World Cups we've had so far. But until today, hadn't really converted that. 13th and a 15th in her first 2 outings of the year. Into a final. She was so frustrated with herself in Meiringen and again in Moscow. It's great to see her finally make it. Snuck through in 6th place. We had a few issues with her score updating. At one point it looked as if she wasn't going to make the final. We were having manual score updates. It looked as if she'd missed out, and then scores were corrected and she did make it through. And she is just being made to wait. The women will come out and they'll climb first on those green volumes going bottom left to top right. It's
some cool looking shapes there.
Yeah, it's a really interesting start as well.
It's upside down.
Yeah, so you go feet first.
Nice.
And then you creep onto the first volume in the sun. And then one of the hard early moves is to turn around on that. Here she comes, Stasha Gale. She'll have 4 minutes to take on women's 1. And she looks pretty pleased to be here. As I say, really not happy with her performance in the semi-finals of the first 2 World Cups, but got the job done today.
Yeah, it'll be so good to watch her here. She always puts so much emotion into her performance. It's so nice to see.
And she's got the start figured out. Also our first chance to see Stasha's video graphic. She did in Meiringen. So yeah, this is one of the hard early moves to get. It's not the most dignified of moves. You've got to get yourself spun round, and then there's a hard move up to the zone, and then another hard move to the top itself.
Oh, that looks hard too. It's in the sun, and probably really hot, which makes the friction a lot worse.
Yeah, the boulders have been behind the curtain until about isolation closed at 4 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock now, so they opened the curtains an hour ago, so they've probably been fairly cooked, these holds.
Yep.
Of course, when you first arrive at the venue, before isolation is closed, the boulders are hidden by a curtain to ensure secrecy. Sure, the climbers can't see them, but it gets opened as soon as isolation closes so that the public can have a look at the boulders. And temperature likely to be an issue.
Yeah, it's pretty warm here now.
It's really hard to gauge how hot it is with the humidity. I would guess mid to high 20s in Celsius.
Yeah.
No idea what that is in Fahrenheit. Apologise.
No, me neither.
American audience can enlighten me, I'm sure. Hashtag IFSC WC on Twitter, as ever. If you want to get in touch, educate me on Fahrenheit, or give us your predictions or your thoughts.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are you asking people to tell you what temperature it is on Twitter?
I'll take trivia, I'll take whatever.
Oh, come on, Stasha.
So, real fight for Stasha, and this looks a bit more promising.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, there's another hole behind that volume that she's now hugging with her feet. It's a bit more positive than the volume. So again, this information's all from the route setters, but the next move shouldn't be one of the tougher ones. It's the move from the volume that she's heading for now that should be hard. But she just missed it. There's actually a screw on hold on there. She looks like she's just a bit short. Just take your time. We mentioned it earlier, fatigue is certainly likely to be an issue here. Qualifying round, brutally hard semi-final round, and now we've got heat and another hard round. This is not going to be a top-heavy final. Tops are going to be few and far between, and very, very valuable when you do get them. So Stasha pulling on again. One thing we know is there'll be no shortage of fight.
Yeah, not from her.
The new rule with starting positions is that you have to control the starting handholds. It's not enough just to touch them. No problem on this boulder, but it might be something to bear in mind a bit later on.
On the slabs, I can see that sometimes being an issue.
And
but you're allowed to just tap your feet.
Yes, you can just tap your
Still,
feet, but you
yeah.
have to control the starting handholds.
Yeah. So that's to eliminate those sort of starts where you just run at the wall, you jump onto a volume, touch it briefly with your hands, and then jump up and away to something else.
So next out, we've got Catherina. Had a couple of really strong performances in 2017.
I remember watching her make finals in Vail, just absolutely dominate in the semi-final.
Yeah, and also made the final in Mumbai.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and was 7th here, so very close to a third final. This is the first final for her of 2018, 8th and 10th. Her results thus far.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, she's, I think, a bit of a dark horse here. I think
she always almost gets overshadowed by, teammates from Slovenia. There's so many strong climbers from Slovenia, but, she's got to counter as one of the strong ones now.
And she's off to a pretty good start on this women's one.
That's her flash attempt.
Yeah, she's relatively tall as well, which I think for these moves, particularly this one, could make life slightly easier.
I think Stasha is as well, isn't she?
Yeah, but maybe an inch or two shorter than Katja.
Yeah.
Either way, she's cruising up to here, and the zone awaits. So she head out right.
Oh. Yeah, that foot's just facing the wrong direction, just pushing you. Wants to push you in the other direction, away from the bonus hold.
Yeah, if you could. The bonus? What is this bonus of which you speak?
Sorry, the zone.
No, it looks as if you can get a foot out right to stop yourself as you head to the zone there. You can see the 3 green balls.
but I think it has to be a coordinated kind of move, I'm not sure.
The timing's got to be right.
Yeah, I don't think you can stick your foot out there first.
So apologies for the lack of a clock. We are trying to get one. About 2 minutes of her time gone according to my watch. Oh, there we go. Perfect timing. You need to clock when you've got a stopwatch. 2 minutes left. That was a really promising first go from Catherine. Didn't seem at all trouble by the start. Again, being reasonably tall, you'd have thought these moves are slightly easier, but then this next move where you've got to compress might be slightly tougher. So, although I'm a shorter climber, I tend to think that these things even themselves out over the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. That's what you hope for. Oh. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, I think this could be the first example of fatigue coming in. Tough day yesterday, tough day today, in the heat.
Stasha was also pretty fatigued.
Yeah. So with a minute to go, she'll certainly have another go. That's the buzzer to denote 1 minute to go.
I like the pattern tape she's got there. Green, some sort of green and white pattern. Stasha just had boring old blue tape.
Oh. The Slovenian physio was busy yesterday, actually. He all seemed to have a few niggles. He set himself up in a big section of grass about 50 metres away from the competition venue. A long queue of strong Slovenian climbers with various niggles.
I saw the Japanese had their own like massage table in ISO in semis. Oh no. First go, best go.
Yeah, so often the case. You catch it. Don't think there's any major problem with that right leg. I chatted to one of the coaches earlier, certainly didn't mention it. So out next, Catherina, Capri and Anova. This will be interesting. Just missed the semi-finals in Moscow, 21st for her there. But has some good results when we've seen her. She doesn't compete by any means in every World Cup, but a 6th place in the European Championship 5 years ago, 2013. And just missed the final in Munich in 2017, 7th place there. So, interesting to see how she gets on. This is her first World Cup final.
It's exciting.
Slightly surreal music choice from the DJ. Keeping up his form for the weekend. But she's straight into it. Interesting, they all clearly agreed on the method, feet first. Doesn't seem to have been anyone even looking at a different method.
That's, I mean, good work by the setters to make it so that it's, you know, very obvious to do it that way, or much harder to do it another way.
Yeah, you can't help but feel sorry for the route setters. I was walking with them, looking at the boulders earlier on, and they were saying, well, we hope they'll do this. We hope that's what they're going to do. You can do it this way, and
yep.
The climbers certainly have the power to surprise. But so far, they've all seemed to stick with this feet first method, which is the way to do it. It's a brutally physical start to a boulder, especially when your feet come off. Enjoy, yeah, 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah, and those green holds, yeah, that green hold there on the wall, the starting hand holds, I don't know, those big nose things. They're pretty slopey on the inside. There were some in ISO for warm up, so you can see why it would be hard to keep your toe in there.
It's a tricky one, this, isn't it? Because you're tired, as we've mentioned. You've got the adrenaline compensating for that, but you really need to take your time and use these tries wisely, because you are just going to burn yourself out if you try and go hard at this boulder.
And I think it's a little bit stressful too, especially from what I remember being in finals. If you're there on the stage by yourself, especially with all these people watching, like, you already want to just try. That's kind of amplified with being the only one on stage and everybody's watching you and kind of waiting for you to climb.
Yeah, it's really tricky. I can imagine you'd feel relatively self-conscious just alone on the stage with everyone looking at you thinking, well, I'm going to take a 2-minute break. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be very comfortable and self-confident to, to make yourself rest properly and not care about what the audience thinks or that sort of thing. That's something I'm not very good at, for sure. That was advice that Shauna gave me last year. She said, the audience is here for you, everybody's here for you, so don't feel like you have to sprint across the mat to your problem or climb before you're ready or that sort of thing. So.
That's very, very good advice.
Yeah, something that definitely is one of Shauna's strengths. You always see her sitting down and resting and taking her time.
Yeah, well, you can see how people fall into that trap. As you say, you're just alone on the stage. And people have said to me, oh, I wouldn't notice a crowd when I'm climbing. Well, it's easy to say. But when you're suddenly standing up there and the lights are on you, it's another matter.
Typically don't either notice the crowd too much, but you're up there alone and there's a big crowd in person, and then everybody's watching on the live stream. So, because I knew, all my friends at home, my parents, my coach, everyone was watching up in the middle of the night, and you kind of feel that pressure to perform, to give a show.
There's Jessie Piltz. She's pretty self-confident. I think she'll climb when she wants to, and she'll rest when she wants to as well. But very different from lead, that's for sure. Let's have a look at her graphic. Just a straight up double wave. Okay. So 4 minutes starts again. We haven't had a top, or to be honest, anything close to a top just yet. But during the semi-finals, some of the boulders looked as if they'd been really overcooked by the route setters, and then Miho Nanaka and Akira Noguchi topped all 4 of them. So stand by. This boulder one is not over until it's over, and Jessie Piltz is off to a pretty good start on it as well.
It's cruising.
I felt that you saw during the semi-final her lead endurance come in a couple of times. Just able to hang in there.
I was climbing at the same time or something as her, very close, so I didn't actually see, but everyone was saying that she spent over a minute on a couple of the boulders.
Well, you can see now she's having close to the best attempt so far. Catherina got a pretty good hand on the zone without really controlling it. Jessie straight on, and you saw there she was on the boulder for, by my reckoning, about 40 seconds. Let's have another look. So that move to the roof, she looked relatively untroubled by that. That's our cameraman on the mats. Just to let you know, we are taking our pictures from Chinese TV today. So we've got a cameraman on the mats doing his thing there. And this was Jessie heading for the zone. She was just short. Yeah, we are taking our pictures from Chinese TV. So if you have any complaints, please direct them to Chongqing Central Television Company, who have one of the biggest.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be grateful for your feedback. One of the so Jessie, again, untroubled by this first move. Straight through the roof. She's certainly, I think, looked the most solid on pretty much every move so far. She's back up nearly, well, this was a final handhold that she really, really had. She touched the zone, and again, just
a little bit short of what she was before, I think.
Yeah.
But that lead power endurance is really showing now. To get through those moves so easily, twice in a row.
Yeah, very smooth on both occasions. And super solid there. Didn't shift her hand at all when it landed. This is a replay. Yes, just a bit short again that time. doesn't look as if the method of swinging the foot out to the right is quite as feasible as it first appeared.
Yeah, I think that you'd probably swing your foot over there after you've controlled the bonus or the zone.
Almost part of the same movement.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just do it.
Almost.
Try and
yeah.
keep a tiny bit of momentum.
At least it would be easier to do. So I'm sure possible both of these.
She seems to have these lower moves absolutely dialed now.
I almost wonder if getting her foot up in that half moon is not helping her.
Just pushing her out from the wall slightly.
Yeah, and making it like awkward because she can't really push in the correct direction from that hold.
So again, the zone hold is reached but not held on to. Can have another look. So that's the one you mean. Slightly compromising her ability to jump.
I wonder. It'd be interesting to see if Akio or Miho do the move and how they do it.
Noguchi ready to go.
And Akio and Miho also competed in speed qualifiers in between semis and finals.
It's been quite the workload. There we go, there's Akio with her apple. Miho.
I didn't know we were allowed props when we did those.
Might remember Miho had a banana for hers as well.
Oh, really?
Let's see, that's still to come. You have to wait 4 minutes to see that one.
So excited.
So here goes Akio. Again, one of the taller climbers. Interesting to see how these more compression-y moves might be trickier for her. She goes the other way. Comes clockwise, I guess you'd say, around the volume.
Or maybe not so much trickier.
Well, clearly not, no.
Just be more technical and it's easier. It's simple.
So she's in control up to here. Completely different method now.
There we go.
That's experience for you. Straight onto the zone. This is already the best attempt we've had on this boulder. That's her first one. Sticks the move. The next hole's the top. This apparently from here is the second crux of the boulder. Can she stick it? She's lining it up.
Nice.
There you go. Kia Noguchi flash for her boulder one.
Wow, it's crazy. Yeah, she looked so smooth on that.
So she'll walk back into isolation 2 minutes and 35 seconds earlier than expected.
Oh, we get to see Miho's graphic.
Yeah, I was thinking that,
A
yeah.
lot sooner than expected.
Didn't have to wait 4 minutes after all. There is Miho. Her and Akio, I have to say, I said it a couple of times, and it's no slight on the other climbers, but they really just looked at the next level in the semi-finals. And I have to say, Akio Noguchi has carried that form into the finals, has Miho.
They just don't look like they're fatigued at all. Whereas I feel like the other boulders could do these if they were fresher. They just look unaffected by the other rounds.
As you will have seen if you've been watching us right from the start, I chatted to Miho and Akio. Here we go. Oh, banana just goes out of shot. Yeah. You'll be seeing that graphic a lot this year, I think, the kind of form Miho Nanaka's on. Yeah, I chatted to both of them after the semi-final. Both seemed fairly unfazed by the whole thing. Straight into thinking about the final. First and the second.
Oh, look
for
at that
Miho
knee
this
bar.
year. Yeah, she's found the hidden knee bar. And kind of went straight underneath the volume rather than round it.
Knee bar is always good.
So we saw a different method on the move after this one from Akio. I wonder if she's going with the right hand. She is.
Oh, that's interesting.
So she can't match Akio on the first one. Flash for Akio Noguchi, boulder one. Miho won't match that. So plenty of time to top it though. 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, and with how easy the bottom looked for her, I'm sure that won't be a problem to get through again.
Third overall in the standings in 2017, second in 2016.
And right now she's tied for first.
Yes, with a lady who's not coming to these two World Cups, so gilt-edged opportunity for Miho Nanaka.
But I think Akio's not too far behind in the standings.
No, Akio
Akio's also here.
incredibly consistent. Third and third, first and second for Miho so far this year. So neither of them's missed a podium yet. And on the form they were showing this afternoon, you wouldn't expect that to change. So again, goes pretty much straight underneath the volume. So she led with the right hand. It looks like she's lining up to do the same again. Now goes with the left, crosses through. So we saw Akio put her right heel where the right hand is.
She thought about this swing, the ninja kick.
Yeah, Miho looks like she's thinking about this a little more than Akio.
Oh,
But the outcome is the same. No problem up to the zone. Now just needs to match it. Another tough move up to another pretty poor sloping volume, but it's the last one in the sun at least. And then she's
And it just clouded over, so
heading for the top.
nice.
Left hand lands and right hand joins it. Miho Nanaka, top for her. Not a flash like Akio Noguchi, but she gets the top.
Second go, still pretty good.
It is pretty good. It looked like she might be lining up to go with the right hand, went with the left. And then there was just a bit of thinking going on here. Shall I jump? Shall I bring my foot up? Both feet? Slightly different method from Akio. Akio had her both feet on that volume over to the left. But the outcome was the same. You can see here it's a reasonably good hold you're going for at the top, provided you hit the sweet spot, which is pretty much on the very top of the curve of the volume. And there we see it. Women's one. Done. Two tops. A flash for Akio Noguchi. And a top on her second attempt from Miho Nanaka.
And the two of them have solidly established themselves as the front runners there.
Already,
Very solidly.
Already. It's if this is the first World Cup you're watching of 2018, remember we have got a slight shift in the scoring system. What used to be the bonus hold is now the zone. If you're sitting and looking and wondering what Z means, zone is the new word for what was the bonus hold. There's also a shift in emphasis. The most important way of separating the climbers used to be number of tops, and then it came down to the number of attempts. It's now number of tops followed by number of zones. So the slab, women's two. The one thing you didn't have in the semi-final was a slab.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, it's a particularly high friction wall-less one here in Chongqing. The white panels themselves, really high friction. And chatting to the route setters, I'm not entirely convinced that's going to be very useful on this slab. It actually hinders you slightly.
The friction.
The high friction, yeah, you're trying to creep across, and every bit of your clothing and your skin is catching on the wall.
Yeah, typically doesn't help very much when you're trying to move and your shirt is stopping you from moving.
Stash, just take your time to get herself set. As she should. You just got to find that perfect balance point.
Yeah, looking pretty comfortable standing there.
This does look promising.
I think she wants her right foot on the left side of that volume. Yeah.
You can see it's such a familiar feeling to climbers at any level. Doesn't matter what the grade is, kind of creeping your feet across and trying to stay on the slab is a familiar feeling.
That feeling that you could just topple over backwards and oh, nice.
Oh, that's close from Stasha. She knew it was close as well. That's the movement you want to do. It looked like she just rushed maybe the second half of it. She started nice and slowly and then just slightly lunged at the hole. But
well, yeah, I think she had to get her foot over solidly onto that volume, I think. Yeah. I think her body came a little bit too far to the left. If it had stayed more to the right, she would have been in a slightly better position to keep that hold.
that was Stasha's dad we saw very, very briefly then in the front row, giving plenty of encouragement. So frustrating to have done all that work, balancing your way across and getting ready for the move and then having to go through it all again. So she gets the left foot over. Right foot needs to come up where the left foot is as well. 1 minute left, very time consuming moves. Where's that 3 minutes gone?
Balancing always is. So you have to make sure you have that balance point perfectly. There's not much room for error on slabs.
Okay, now she's in a half decent position. I'll have another look at it.
Oh, different method there. Jumping the left foot rather than...
And it works. Stasha, just take your time.
Oh.
That was close.
Wow.
She's got plenty of time. Needs to make it count. And does. Top for Stasha. That was in the
Good
balance.
recovery.
Really good recovery.
Scary for a second.
Chloe Collier there. Going through the ringer watching her friend. So, I think we'll have another look. So this was the successful jump to the zone. Which maybe went a little too quickly. Let's have another look. Where was the slip? That was there it is. So it's just putting the left foot on the zone. I don't know how she held that. It's a pretty good top hold. But quite rightly, she didn't panic and then just try and match it anyway.
Yeah, it was good.
Drop back down. Did it in control. I think she knows that was close. So Catherina out. So there's a couple of methods of starting this one actually. You can do what Catrina's about to do, or you can do that method. Thank you. Perfect demonstration. You can either have left hip facing in or just take it front on.
Probably, it's always, or almost always best to start the boulder a little, like a half a movement in if you can, like she did. The way she was thinking about it at first, she would have had to stand up, like mantle the first hold, and then reach over. But starting with her left hip in and her body on the left side of the start holds saved her a little bit of time, a little bit of effort there. So.
Yeah, general consensus is amongst the route setting team that was the easier method, but they were saying you can mantle it, but it, as you rightly say, just adds a move effectively. Sometimes it can be harder watching than climbing.
Oh, you can see just how intense the sun is there.
Oh, the sun is brutal at this time of day. It's fierce heat. So again, chooses the left hip in method. So this boulder's been topped by the only climb we've seen attempted so far, Stasha Gale. Catherina's got just over half her time remaining. Of course, what she hasn't seen that we have is that it took Stasha an awful long time to find the balance point. Patience is rewarded on this boulder.
Yeah, Katja's kind of trying to jump her hand from one side of that stacked volume to the other. Maybe not the smartest idea on a balancey slab.
It's about as close up as close-ups get. And you can see what a small lip it is that she's trying to get that foot on. So slightly different method this time for start.
There we go. Trying the mantle move. Just.
Well, this would be interesting. As I say, it certainly can be done that way.
I wasn't thinking of this much of mantling, but I was thinking just a hand mantle.
I'm quite surprised to see that because it seemed as if the move that she's changed her method for, she was finding relatively straightforward.
Yeah, but I think she thinks now, or she was thinking to stand up on that top start hold and then just step across rather than having to use her hip flexors to bring her foot across there, which seemed she was struggling with. But maybe she just needs to move her left hand a bit higher on the hold to the upper one, maybe. Oh, looked easier that time.
Yeah, this looks a bit more promising.
There we go.
This time she latches it with the left hand. She's got just over 40 seconds left, which sounds like a long time, but given how long it took Stasha to get perfectly into balance, it's not that long. A few shouts in the crowd. Quite enjoyed that, I think. Quite fitting music as well from the DJ.
Oh, wow.
That's extraordinary balance from Catherine, just to pop onto that left toe on that tiny lip.
And leg strength?
Oh, amazing. Now then, time's a factor. She's got 5 seconds to get there.
Nice.
And there it is. Where did that come from?
So happy.
Oh, that was fantastic from Catherine. It was,
Wow.
didn't seem to be making much progress.
Nope.
Suddenly just went for a slightly higher risk version and found herself a couple of moves from the top, but running out of time. Got it done. Great stuff. So when she got here, she knew she had to get a move on, and did. Being a bit taller will help on that one. She's able to rush it a bit more. Might recognise Yu Fei Pan in the middle of that shot. Very promising young Chinese climber. Saw him in a lead final in, I think it was Xiamen last year.
Oh, didn't like that start move.
No. This is, as I mentioned earlier, her first final. Interesting enough, she made semis in her first ever World Cup in Slovenia in 2012.
That's pretty cool.
And now we see her.
She's been competing a while.
She has been competing a while, yeah. 6 years ago, her World Cup debut and semi-final debut. See there, perhaps his flexibility, the limit there.
That hip flexor activation.
Yeah, it's all your glutes and hamstrings. Because your torso's leaning forward, it looks as if it's not that far to bring your foot up, but it is actually quite a reasonable distance between those holds.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've been working on recently. Is that bringing your foot up in that position? It's hard. It's really hard.
Have you been yogaing?
No, I've just been doing specific like activation exercises for that.
Okay.
I find that specific movement, it gets a lot easier once you've done a couple of warm-ups for it. Like once the muscles are activated, it's not necessarily like a flexibility thing as much as a maybe mobility, for me at least. Okay.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those positions that looks relatively easy to find, but you can see Katya just fighting to get her left foot up. That's frustrating for her. There we go.
Oh yeah, she got it. Trying to move it as far close to the point as possible.
Of course, it also makes the next move harder if you're struggling with the mobility to get it there.
Yeah.
Because you've got to rotate on top of it. So she's going for the mantle. 45 seconds left. Getting slightly frustrated. As I mentioned with Katja Kadik, it takes a long time to do this boulder. So if she nails this move, even with 30 seconds left on the clock, she's going to have to motor if she wants a top.
But we saw Katja do it.
We did, yeah. So there is time, just about. Katja got it on her fourth go, just to bring you up to date with the scores, and Sasha got it on her second. realistically, the time remaining, this is going to be for the zone only, and I'm pretty sure she's not going to get that. She's not. Shame for her, but 2 more boulders left.
Yep, still lots of time.
So it'll be Jessie Piltz out next. Had a really strong go at the start of number 1, but couldn't convert it into a zone or a top.
Couldn't quite figure out that move to the bonus. Didn't figure out to match, I think, on the hold before the bonus.
Interesting to see how she gets on with this one, actually. Don't see that many slabs in lead climbing, but she has really been training her bouldering. Again, as you say, it's not so much flexibility, it's mobility.
Yeah, having the strength to bring your leg up that high is, yeah, kind of the factor there. Not just being flexible enough to sit in that position.
No problem so far for Jessie, just fired over. So you now need to stand up and get her feet on the left-hand side of that top volume, that one.
Yeah, has to rotate her hips around.
And decides to go direct with the left foot. Now, the tricky bit, of course, will be what to do with the right foot. Now she's got there. I think she's just going to pop it next to her hand.
Yeah. Yeah, if she can get enough pressure on that right hand, it could work.
I wonder if she might have climbed herself into a slight dead end here.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Stasha got into that position too, but then retraced her steps, went back, and then moved her feet to the left side of the volume.
You can see the fierce evening sun still on the lower section of the wall. And much of men's 3 should have gone by the time the men get there, but the sun seems, if anything, to be getting hotter.
Yeah.
It's late afternoon here. It's incredibly hot. It's 20 to 6 local time. So what's the method this time? Fires over to the left.
Yeah. Same method she got it done with before. Let's see if she figures out to stand up there first. Seems so simple, she just needs to... It's such a small... Oh, no, she's going to try her way again.
Yeah, she clearly feels she's going to be able to move that right foot.
She was very close, to be fair.
Yeah, she was close. Creeps it
there
around. There we go, that's a minute to go.
Oh.
That was close, you could see the first movement looked good, and then the second movement, she just seemed to come slightly away from the wall.
Didn't have quite enough pop, I think, in the leftward direction there.
Let's have another look. Seemed to start well.
Yeah.
I think it looks as if it was as her right knee came across, it just began to push her out slightly.
Yeah.
30 seconds left. She'll have to motor. Seen 2 tops already this bowler, Stasha Geo and Catherina. And that under 15 seconds now. It's really going to have to be quick here. Yeah, and with that more time-consuming method of removing her right foot. Yeah, she was just going for the zone. So nothing yet for Jessie Piltz. Come close on both, had a really good attempt on both boulders she's tried. But hasn't yet converted that into a zone or a top.
Yeah, she had her hand on both zones, just didn't quite stick them.
Some minor repair work being done, it would seem, to the black tape on the right hand side of the boulder. is Akio. Looked imperious on boulder 1. Just being made to wait a tiny bit. Yeah, there's some black tape on the right-hand side of the boulder. You can see it just behind her there. It denotes the edge of the boulder. And
it's in the corner there, right?
Yeah, it was all the way up the corner, so I'm assuming it came loose in the top half from the heat.
Melted the glue.
Yeah. Either way, seems to be okay now. And Kyo's underway.
So you're trying the left start beta rather than the mantle?
Could it be 2 flashes and 2 boulders? Bit early to be talking like that, but the way she's climbing right now, don't bet against it.
Oh, just steps right through.
Yeah, I mean, balance-wise, that just shouldn't be possible to bring your inside foot through and stay on the slab.
She's pretty amazing.
Her understanding of how her body moves and what shifts will do, what tiny shifts of it will do to her balance is just extraordinary. Oh. And she's close. She's very close.
Be interesting to see if she tries the beta that Stasha used, jumping her left foot up. Or tries the step through again.
So let's have another look at how she did it. Oh. That wasn't too far off.
Seems like turning your hips like to the side like that by crossing your feet through might just pop you out just enough to push you off the wall.
So it's not going to get flashed, this boulder, unless Miho Nanaka can do something about it, but it has been topped twice, and Akio Noguchi doesn't look too far off topping it. Again, bringing your inside leg through should be so difficult, if not impossible, but she just seems to have the most extraordinary innate understanding of how her body moves and how to keep it in balance.
Oh, nice.
And that's nicely done. If she tops from here, I think she might be slightly disappointed she didn't get it first go. Getting herself set. Not going to rush this.
Nice.
Nicely, cleanly done. It's a happy coach right there. So this, I'm assuming, was the successful one. Yeah, nicely done.
Easy.
Right foot just cushioned on the volume, left leg swung through. And she's got herself set up. And there it is. Top for Akio Noguchi. Second go, so she's the first climber with 2 tops. Could be joined by Miho Nanaka. So could we see a flash of the boulder? This is our last chance.
She doesn't like the left beta.
Now completely disregarding what the others have done.
Well, remember, she hasn't seen them, so.
No, but from the observation discussions, she's obviously got her own way of doing it.
And as she did on the first boulder, too.
Yeah.
She found that knee bar and
again, bringing the right foot through.
it's clear who's been talking on this boulder.
I wondered if is she eyeing up the zone from there? Surely not.
Oh.
You can see the
Maybe.
cogs turning.
Oh,
Yeah, she thought about it.
yeah.
As soon as she went, you kind of got the impression it was going to be too far, but interesting thought. You could see her just calculating the distance. And
Yeah, the steps and everything.
yeah, she was, by the time she got to that zone hold, she was really already on her way off the wall.
Yeah.
So what will the method be this time round? Crossing through the right foot again. No, it goes to the left this time. Just under half her time left. Again, she's trying to do it dynamically. That's interesting from Miho, just entirely different method.
Yeah.
Launching from a long way down on the boulder.
When everybody else had no problem just stepping across to that next hold and pausing there.
If she can't get this boulder done, that will put Akira Noguchi in an extremely strong position. She doesn't yet have the zone either, Miho.
But it looks like from the zone to the top is not hard. It's only one move.
Yeah.
In terms of handhold, it's not a very long boulder. But in terms of body movements,
In terms of micro movements, it's thousands. It's
seems like it. Oh. Oh!
yeah, again
That
tries
was
to
close.
lunge. Getting closer. I have to say, it certainly makes it look harder the way she's doing it.
Yeah.
But she seems to like the method. She really doesn't fancy doing this statically, it would seem. I wonder, this will almost certainly be the last go given how time consuming the bowl has been. I wonder if there will be a new method employed. Or if she'll stick with what she seems to like.
Yeah, I would guess not, because she had no time to think or pause and think in between those attempts. Oh.
And that's going to be it for Miho. 10 seconds to go. She doesn't get it done. That leaves Akira Noguchi 2 tops. Quick quiz for you. Where was the last place Akira Noguchi won a World Cup?
Here in Chongqing last year?
In 2015.
2015.
But yeah, this was the last place she claimed to win, and she's in a clean lead. 2 tops, 2 zones. Miho Naka and Stasha Geho rounding out the current top 3 after 2 boulders. Katja Kadic, Jessie Piltz and Catherina Anova, the rest of the top 6. Hiroshi Akana, our chief route setter, is making his way off the stage. I think there was just some slight adjustments made to, again, I think it might have been that black tape. Either way, we're good to go on women's 3. Stasha, that's one of the better moves we've seen, the kind of James Bond.
I like that.
Now then, it's quite an interesting boulder. It's really nicely set, very clean looking, but lots of different ways it can be done. You've got to grapple with this boulder, and you can see that she's looking for the screw-on hold. There it is. You can't see it from where you launch for it.
Yeah, it's quite behind the majority of the volume.
This is probably the hardest move according to the route setters. Getting yourself up to that zone and then stabilised around it.
And don't forget, she's on an overhanging wall.
Yeah.
So.
It's a very steep section of the wall as well there.
Oh.
Yeah, you can see when she jumped down, she was 2 meters out from the start of the boulder. There's her dad. Style's a very personal thing, isn't it?
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to not get burned.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Suffered a few burnt heads in my time. Gotta do what you gotta do. The Serbia t-shirt on the head. So 2.5 minutes left for Stasha. That must have taken a lot out of her. It's one of those moves where it's not really one specific muscle or even limb that's tied. It's just your whole body. You're fighting to get yourself out.
Yeah, you're squeezing absolutely everything in order to stay on the wall and hopefully make some upward progress.
So still in the full glare of the sun, this women's 3. If you're thinking that it's slightly unfair that the women are climbing first, we are alternating each World Cup. So it was women first in Meiringen and here in Chongqing, and it was men first in Moscow. So hopefully over the course of the season, again, the conditions even out. And there's nothing to put your feet on there for Stasha. She's
Desperately trying to find that drop knee.
Yeah, it looked as if she was maybe trying to get some friction off the volume itself, but there is nothing other than the handhold, which is on the upper section of that right-hand side of the volume. You can see there where she's heading. So she's been towards the zone, and then she's got 2 more volumes above it. This was her on the zone. Just trying to get something with that left leg. You can
and her hand is just slipping off there.
It's a tough fight.
Yeah, friction looks terrible right now.
So here she goes up to the zone again. And again, she's trying to find something with the left foot. There's just nothing there. That's the problem. And she's had enough of that. That's a pretty brutal 4 minutes for Stasha.
Very, very physically exhausting.
So that is a tough transition for the women. And trust me, their final bowler is equally savage. It's going to be a lot of tired bodies waking up in the hotel down by the Yangtze River tomorrow morning. It's a tough couple of days.
Sounds pretty dark, actually.
Yeah, just actually. Now you say it. Apologies.
All he means, for clarification, is that our hotel, the competition hotel, is right next to the Yangtze River.
Yeah, thanks. I just stopped there. Put my shovel down and stopped digging. I'm sure all the innocent people out there knew exactly what I meant. Couldn't possibly be misconstrued. So, here's Katja heading out right. You can see she's reaching round to the right. There's that tiny screw-on yellow hold. She'll swing out.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
That was nice. Nicely done.
Stasha just was able to put her foot there before, or with her foot on the start hold as well, so.
You can see the expression on her face, really fighting. It's one of those moves, so it's one thing to get there, it's another to progress from it. The position that she's in, relative to what she's got to do, is halfway comfortable. You can see the fact she was able to shake out, still is doing, but to convert that into upwards movement, very difficult. Somehow got to rotate so that your elbows are underneath you rather than above you. And that's how you do it.
Oh man.
It's it's tough to watch, isn't it?
Oh.
So she'll have to reach behind her.
So hard.
You can see she'll have to reach behind her for the zone. You can see her just flop down with the exertion.
But it still looks like she's having a good time, so that's good.
Takes out the liquid chalk. We talked earlier about feeling the pressure of the crowd watching you. Nice to see that she's not seemingly too affected by that. Happy to take her time. I think it's very sensible energy conservation.
Well, especially on this boulder.
Tough, isn't it? It's not really one of those moves you can learn a lot from the ground by studying it. You've just got to get involved really and find the body position. You're unlikely to spot anything that you can't figure out from being there, but you just got to save your energy.
Yeah.
I think this is a tougher move as well for the taller climber. Just the levers are just that much longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it very well could be. But I think she needed her her palms were on the bottom side of that volume, and I think they needed to be on the top with her fingers facing down to the ground. I think that would allow her to pull up a little bit easier.
So 50 seconds to go for Katja to find a top, a zone, anything here. Stasha got the zone on her second go. So she's got the jump sorted, and she's got time to top the boulder, provided she can leave around. And I think with 30 seconds to go, she might leave it there.
Yeah, might not be enough time. Oh, no.
No, she's going again.
Maybe she can get the zone.
Well, that's one thing we're seeing now with this change in emphasis, is people pulling on for another go, because
zones matter quite a lot now.
Yeah, exactly, and attempts matter less, so you can burn a few. But no zone for Katja.
And actually, as we saw in the women's semifinals, I'm not really sure about the men's semifinals, but it seemed the scoring change seemed to lead to more riskier moves.
Yeah, because you're not quite as closely counting those attempts.
Yeah, exactly.
Encourages you to try different methods, anything to make progress, really.
Yeah.
Which was the reason behind the shift. We want to reward progress, encourage different methods.
Yeah, no, I'm really supportive of the change.
So, second catcher in a row, underway on women's 3. And we talked earlier on about maybe not having enough mobility on the slab. No problem with hamstring flexibility. Reached out there, didn't need to risk the swing.
Her legs are pretty long too.
Yeah, that makes life a bit slightly easier. And
there we go. Seems to have figured that out quite well.
Yeah, crowd enjoying that one, facing out. Now,
that's pretty cool.
I think if she could get that right hand so her palm was on top of the volume, that she'd really be away like that.
No.
It's such a steep section of wall, it's really hard to do it justice. If you look at the middle section of her t-shirt and the angle that's hanging out, you get some idea.
Wow.
Now this looks good. She's done a full 360 now.
That was pretty cool.
She's pretty happy with her work there. As well she might be. No problem up to the zone. Lining it up. Now the route setters reckon that's the last hard move, so it should be away. Just need to find the sweet spot of the hold. And there it is.
Wow, flash.
Extraordinary. And she's been on the wall over a minute and a half. That's such a savage boulder. But she'll have plenty more rest. Nice work. So she's off the mark. First top for her and first zone, I might add. So Jessie Piltz will be the next climber out to try her luck. There she is. Also, no tops, no zones just yet. You're just settling down for lunch in Europe. It's about midday back where you are. Charlie Bosco here with very, very special guest Alana Yip.
Hello.
Finalist in Chongqing in 2017. Hashtag IFSCWC on Twitter if you want to get in touch. This is the women's final, Boulder 3. Jessie Piltz in action. Boulder's already been topped, but it's a brutal fight. And nicely done from Jessie. She did the jump so that she ended up in a position where she could instantly push.
Yeah, that was very clever. Oh, she was able to get that. Wow, look at that drop knee. Ouch.
Yeah, there'll be quite a few people with knee injuries wincing slightly watching that one, and she's now having the same problem that Stasha had of how to get that left foot engaged. Is she going for the spin? Just saw from Katja.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
A completely different method again. So frustrating boulders like this. Each position she gets in looks relatively comfortable. It's then how to move from that position. You can just see the cogs turning.
Yeah, these types of boulders, so hard to read from the ground.
It's an absolute battle.
So hard to get that foot up.
There we go.
Nice.
Now she should be in a...
Oh no.
I was about to say she should be in a good position. That right foot maybe just was never solid enough.
Just on too far down on the sloping part of the volume.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
Look, she was just about to relax.
Yeah, she was just sitting, getting into almost into a sitting position and just popped. Well, she'll have burned so much energy on that.
Oh.
She'll have a zone. Just had a message from Eddie, IFSC photographer, sadly not with us in China, saying not everyone's settling down for lunch. It's 10 o'clock at night in New Zealand.
Yeah, I believe it's the middle of the night in Western Canada, so...
Exactly.
I would be surprised if anyone's watching from there.
I should hope if you were here you'd have set your alarm.
Well, yeah, if I was competing. Oh, no, people will be watching because Sean is competing. My bad. I apologize to everyone who's up and watching.
Everyone bleary-eyed with the coffee machine on in Canada, cursing you now.
Like, what time is it here? 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
So 3 a.m.?
So Jessie again, trying to find a way to use that left foot. I personally think she had the method right, but she just tried to engineer a rest. I think if she just carried on, she might have been okay. Easy to say with hindsight, of course.
Yeah,
even easier to say from here.
Oh.
Now this looks hopeful. Both feet look much more solid this time.
Well, less than 20 seconds, though.
Yeah, the last two moves don't look too tough, though. I think she can get this done.
Yeah, I think so, too.
And she does, too. She chalks up. It's the second to last hole. The next one's the top.
Oh, nice.
And there it is. Really well done, Jessie Piltz. Great time management at the end there as well. She had time, and she even had time for a chalk up. And once again, very happy coach. Let's have another look. So, provided your knee can take the strain, you can get into a reasonably good position. Chinese TV treating us to the most close of close-ups.
Yeah, lots of them.
And she didn't climb quite as quickly as that replay might indicate. She was pretty quick on the last couple of moves. So Akira Noguchi is out onto the wall. 2 tops for her so far out of 2 boulders.
Fairly confident she'll make it 3 here.
Take your time. Just looks so controlled this weekend in Chongqing. Always seems to go well in China. Certainly the case this weekend. Plenty of time left. Calm as you like. 2 tops already in the bag.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Oh, an extraordinary strength just to lower down like that.
Oh.
And decides to go back. Well, we said people were happy to use up attempts, but
maybe not so much.
Yeah, Akira Noguchi happy to go back and try again without dropping off the wall. And this is a whole new method.
It's funny, the zone hold is so close that it almost fools climbers into trying to go there early before they're set up in a good position.
So believe it or not, this is still her first attempt. 2 minutes 20 on the clock.
Or you could just be crazy strong like Akio.
Yeah, or you could just have mechanical biceps and just leave yourself underneath the zone.
You got options, I guess.
Akio Noguchi has looked absolutely superb in this final.
Wow, so impressive.
And that is 3 tops out of 3 for her. Well, the maths is fairly simple. Miho Nanaka needs to get this done.
If she wants to have any chance.
Just to bring you up to date, Akio Noguchi has 3 tops and 3 zones, and they required 4 attempts. Not far off the perfect scorecard. This lady here, Miho Nanaka, having been only the 2nd climber to top Boulder 1, finds herself in 5th place as it stands. Good old change now. That banana.
Every time, gets me every time.
Confident start, fired straight onto the big cylindrical volume. Remember, if she can't do this, it means Akio Noguchi wins the competition.
Or definitely wins the competition.
In fact, if she doesn't, I'm just look at the scores that come through now. If she doesn't flash it, Akio Noguchi wins.
Oh yeah.
So this is absolutely vital for Miho Nanaka. Now, they can see the scores in isolation this year in the final. So things have changed. She might have an idea. And that, not perhaps the most spectacular winning moment, but that's job done for Akio Noguchi.
Guaranteed to win now. Doesn't even need to climb the last boulder.
Well, I said Akio Noguchi always goes well in China. Won here in Chongqing in 2015.
And she was in the final last year. I feel like she might have been 2nd last year.
She's had the most extraordinary run of making finals. Made 11 finals in the 15 Bouldering World Cups or World Championships she entered in 2016 or 17.
Wow.
Now Miho Nanaka could put herself into a comfortable 2nd place going into the last boulder if she can get this done. So nobody other than Akio Noguchi has more than 1 top as it stands. Miho's got 2 minutes to do something about that. What will the method be here? Doesn't look as if she's trying to free her left hand up. It's definitely the right she's going with. So it doesn't.
Oh,
maybe she is going to try the turning method. Okay.
Yeah.
I think she'll try the turn. So you've got to simultaneously push on that right hand whilst keeping your shoulders close to the wall. They start to creep away from the wall. You just lose all the force with the right hand. And you're on your way back down.
There we go. She looks pretty solid now.
It's tricky to watch, isn't it? You can see how much effort's going in. Just about every method going being tried here by Miho.
There we go.
That's how you do it. So she's now got the straightforward but not easy task of spinning herself around, swapping her feet and doing 2 more still relatively tricky moves. And it's in the bag. So there we go. It goes up with the left hand. You can see that top hold. It's not far off. It's not a super hard move, this one, but you've just got to find the sweet spot, and there it is.
Nice.
Top for her. Miho Nanaka, so she'll move into 2nd after the 3rd boulder. See her lying there, exhausted on the mat. I think she gave that one everything she had. So there you can see it. Akira Noguchi, 3 tops, 3 zones, 4 attempts for each. 2 tops, 2 zones, and 4 attempts for each from Miho Nanaka and Stasha Geo. Currently rounding off the podium with 1 boulder to go. Katja Capri, Anova, Jessie Piltz and Katja Kadik, the rest of the top 6. So the route setters were saying they didn't envisage a huge number of tops, and perhaps a few more than they might have expected. Grand total of 9.
Yeah, so far without the last boulder, it's pretty good.
Still the last boulder to come, so Stasha can put himself in a very, very strong position with a top here or even a zone. First look at women's 4. Saw it briefly during the observation. Blue volumes, pink screw-ons. Some fairly last-minute discussion going on from the route setters about how to adjust this boulder, maybe to make it slightly easier.
Oh, earlier you mean?
Just before the the boulders were unveiled.
I thought we were looking at the officials down on the mats there. I thought you were talking about now. Oh, that wouldn't be a good idea.
No, no. Yeah, just stuck an extra bolt on. Just felt sorry for them after that battle on number 3.
Here, Stasha, just wait a second.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna change it.
No, this was before the presentation and observation. As I say, having seen the battle that was had on the first few boulders, maybe a sympathy extra hold wouldn't go amiss, but rules are rules.
Mm-hmm.
And what's just having a look what Stasha's taping now, fingertip.
Maybe a little thin skin now.
Yeah, you were saying earlier on, people who are just joining, these Gecko King holds, which are predominantly what's being used here. They're relatively gentle on the skin by the standards of World Cup holds.
Yeah, they're a lot gentler than flat holds or cheetah holds that we see in a lot of other World Cups. I like it personally because I dislike bleeding from the middle of my fingers at the end of a round, but
Stasha, I have to say, looked tired, and that's certainly not a criticism when you think how much hard climbing she's done in the past, well, less than 36 hours.
And she was also here until quite late doing speed practice last night in the lightning storm that was happening. There we go.
This time she makes the jump stick and uses that left foot nicely just to pad onto that left-hand blue volume. This is going to take everything she's got.
Oh no. Having fun as always, though. She's always smiling out there.
Just under a minute to go for her. She one of only 3 climbers to top the second boulder. And she got it the joint fastest. She got it on the second go, as did Akira Noguchi. Took Kadik 4 attempts, but got there in the end.
Oh yeah, she had that really impressive where she slipped and then recovered.
Yeah, exactly. Went for the top, missed it, dropped back down.
Yeah. Really good moment.
And I think 30 seconds to go. She'll pull on again. There's a zone to be had up there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not sure. She might have gotten it already.
Let's just wait for the scores to refresh.
Oh yeah, she got it.
She already had it. Yeah. My apologies. Lost track of which one was the zone hole. So she already had the zone. So this is for the top, but with 5 seconds to go.
Oh.
She wasn't that far off, you know.
Yeah.
That hole she went for, actually, it's a bit of a funny one. It looks like quite a good hold, but the route setter said, trust me, it just really isn't that good when you get there. You're just coming at it with such speed and at such an awkward angle that it's not that good.
With the volume behind it like that, yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, you can't come at it at quite the angle you want to. So zone, but no top for Stasha. Thanks, Katja. It looked like she was pretty ready for that 10 seconds of making her graphics to be over. It's a bit of an awkward one. Apologies for making all you climbers do that. I like them though.
Yeah, it was a very spur of the moment thing. Just do something, anything.
Just do something, yeah. Come
What?
on. I told you, just
What do you
something.
mean? Don't understand. I feel like next year's will be a lot better because we all know what they're gonna look like now.
Yeah, but you have to catch people off guard. That's how you get the entertaining ones. We don't want you rehearsing. So catch a different method. That looked pretty promising. Just over 3 minutes left in the Chongqing sun. Beautiful evening here. We've got the sunset that seemed so unlikely when we had the heavy rain this morning.
Oh, so it looks like our podium is set now.
Not quite.
No, because our podium, 1, 2, 3.
If we get
But they can only get one more. Oh, but they can only get one more zone.
but they could get another top.
Oh, that's fair. I forgot about tops.
Yeah,
I was smart.
there's not been too many this World Cup, this semi and the final, but no, we could still have a different podium if one of the climbers lower down got a second top.
Yeah, that's fair.
God, every now and then I'm
Always
I'm
intelligent
on it with the
comments for
maths.
me. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. What school did you went to when you was a children?
What university degree did I just get?
Oh!
Oh, let's not talk about it.
What university degree did you just get, actually?
I just graduated from mechanical engineering. Awkwardly.
It's okay. I apologise. When I get the maths right, I've got to savour it. So here's
Oh, come on, Katja.
I think you can just see a bit of fatigue coming in. Noticed it with Stasha earlier on. When the climbers hit the mats, it's as if they're just glad to be there. It's just
Crumple.
just kind of let it all out. It's been a savagely physical
3 rounds for them?
3 rounds. Yeah, it's partly the setting, but also the wall here in Chongqing. It's just unrelenting.
Yeah, the wall definitely leads to the physical setting.
All been relatively long boulders as well.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a lot of moves. All getting pretty close to the top of the wall
Yeah.
via quite circuitous routes.
Oh.
It looks like she's getting slightly further away each time. I think she'll have another go. Yeah.
It's so hard to, even if you're not getting further, to just give up on the last boulder.
Yeah, I think you find the energy from somewhere, but
Yeah.
frustrating, I'd imagine, when each attempt just feels like it's getting that bit further away.
Mm-hmm. Although we did see last on the second boulder that the time pressure really gave her that energy to finish it. So,
20 seconds left. Again, there's a zone out there for her. Ten seconds. This is going to have to be so fast. And
Oh. Did she forget it's not 4+? Oh.
Right, good to see. Optimistic till the end, but sadly nothing for Catherina on that final boulder. But she does finish with the top. Quite nice. Every climber in the final got a top, which is nice when they've been so hard to come by all weekend. Kinaguchi, she's got 3 out of 3 so far.
That's okay too, I guess.
Capri Anova, there she is. Flashed boulder 3. Figured out that spinning round movement.
Arguably the most stylish top on that boulder.
Yeah, they were
Full
all
spin around.
They were all a fight, but hers was certainly the smoothest of all. So time to creep out to the left. And then she'll set herself for the jump. Or will she? I wonder if there's thoughts of going up statically. No, perhaps not.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've got to release the left hand as well.
It's definitely a double there.
The left hand you're going to is better than the one you're going from, so it would make sense to go, but
and better than the right hand, I think, at that awkward angle.
It's higher commitment though, obviously, to go. Jessie Piltz still to come on this boulder. Akira Noguchi still to come. Miho Nanaka still to come. Podium space is still up for grabs. Jessie Piltz and Capri and Anova currently on one top, but can move themselves up with a second one.
Yeah, second top. That's what's necessary.
So again, Capri creeping out to the left, getting ready to launch. It'll be right hand followed by left, right hand, left hand. That's it. That's the method.
Yeah. Just got to be a little more coordinated, I think. But she was there.
It's always fascinating watching climbing, but also when you chat to the route setters, the exact timing of the moves. It looked, and the detail of it and the accuracy, it looked like she went perhaps a bit too far with that right hand. She was slightly above that one, and that slightly threw her off of the left one. Sadly, unlike normally at the World Cups, I can't request replays because we're, as I say, taking our pictures from Chinese TV. But if we get one, it'd be interesting to see that one again. So let's have a look. As I say, it seemed like she was perhaps a bit too far, a bit too high on the right hand. It slightly threw her for the left. We'll get a good close-up here. That's more like it. That is so close.
Still got a minute though.
Yeah, she still has a good amount of time. So it begins again. We mentioned it earlier, so frustrating when you've done these moves repeatedly and they're just unavoidably time consuming. So it'll be right, left, right, left.
Oh no, didn't quite get the foot stab.
Oh, the precision required. Trying to get some support from the crowd. Well, she might. There we go. So 5 seconds to go. I think it's going to be a bridge too far. It might be some consolation she wouldn't have stuck the move anyway, but still slightly frustrating. You feel like that's a boulder she could have done, perhaps with a little more time, perhaps a bit fresher. Let's have a look at it. So, Catherina, she'll finish with one top. That was a flash on number 3. One top, one zone for her. And here goes Jessie, currently in 5th coming onto this boulder. One top on the boulder 3. Second top would be very handy. Could move her up to 2nd depending on attempt.
His first move looks quite different if you're shorter. If you can't just reach across to those screw-ons on the next volume, you actually have to go dynamically and catch the right toe probably. Whereas Katya from Russia, she could just reach it from the start hold.
Slightly unusual method from Jessie. Again, you wonder if that's just collective fatigue coming in. You just want to get the move done.
Yeah, perhaps.
You can certainly reach it that way. It just leaves you in such an awkward position to then bring your left hand round.
kind of, yeah, making it more difficult for you after.
So what will the method be this time? Would it be the same again?
Oh,
Or has she got something else in mind?
just gonna go left hand straight up to the good hold, maybe?
It's such a poor position you're launching from, but I think you're right. Yeah, you can see her eyeing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she scurried over to her chalk bag as if to suggest she was pretty confident that that was a workable method.
Yeah, I think it could be if she gets her left foot up to the volume there to stop the swing.
Two minutes to go. Pulls back on. We've seen the very upper reaches of this boulder just the once, but it looks toppable. I think time and fatigue will be the key factors. And that time goes with hands at exactly the same time.
Trying all sorts of different methods here.
Yeah, she's certainly couldn't be accused of not thinking outside the box. There's all sorts of different methods coming in.
Yeah, it's good to see.
So look at the upper reaches of the boulder, and there is the top hold. And it again goes for the both hands at the same time option. Definitely, when we've seen the move done, that doesn't look like the easiest method to do it. Here we can see her arriving in slow-mo. Yeah, she missed with the right hand, which doesn't help.
Seems like she's not quite getting high enough. Oh no.
Yeah, 15 seconds to go. I wonder if that's it for Jessie Piltz. It is. So ends up with that top of number 3. So here is Akira Noguchi. No doubt has seen the score backstage after the previous boulder.
Yeah, no, she's
got a game
guaranteed to
face
win.
on.
Yeah, as always.
Never seems to slip. So smooth out left. Wonderful stuff from Akira Noguchi.
Oh.
And just goes
Whoa.
statically.
Who needs to jump anyway?
Akira Noguchi is just rewriting how to win a Boulder World Cup. She's cruising here. All the moves in a seemingly much more difficult method than anyone else. And she is one move away from the perfect final.
Well,
Lining
she did
it
fall
up.
once.
Akira Noguchi claims the top,
Wow.
turns and waves to the crowd. That is 3 flashes and the top on the other boulder.
So dominant
Extraordinary.
today.
Yeah, extraordinary performance. She's been amazing. She's amazing in the qualifiers. Absolutely incredible in the semi-finals. And quite frankly, she's blown the competition away in the final. Those are moves that have just stopped some of the world's best boulderers. She's done them, it would seem, in a more difficult method than they used. Still got them done. First go. Straight up to the top. Noguchi, winner in Chongqing.
And then, yeah, I guess Miho is second no matter what she does.
Yes.
Hopefully we see a flash from her too.
Here she goes, setting up again.
Is she gonna find the toe? There we go. Nice.
Yeah, and a bit like Akio, kind of went for it and then just managed to lock her body in place.
Oh,
And we won't see a flash from her. So she's going to be second regardless. She's got 2 tops. The climbers below her have got 1 only. But crucially, the one above us got 4 tops. So she's creeping left again. It's quite an awkward looking fall.
mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem too fussed by it. Still got 3 minutes left. No doubt will be well aware from how little time she spent in the transition zone that Kyo got this done first go.
Mm-hmm.
Two and a half minutes left of this women's final, which has been frankly dominated by Akio Noguchi. It feels like we've barely watched her, to be honest. We've had some boulders that have been quite time consuming, and we've been watching climbers for their full 4 minutes. Akio Noguchi feels like she's just sort of nipped onto the stage, got them done, nipped off again.
Yep. She's got somewhere else to be. She's
I know.
time is of the essence.
She's late for something. She's absolutely flown through.
Oh.
Mihun statically, and just a bit of dynamism at the
So
end to
nice.
finish it off. It's a top for her, so she'll make that. She'll make it 3 tops out of 4. Only 1 short of Akio Noguchi, but more attempts. 6 attempts to get her 2 tops to Akio's 5 attempts to get her 4 tops. It's a tough final here in Chongqing.
Mm-hmm.
We had
Not for Akio.
not for Akio, yeah, good point.
That's a pretty good split of results, though. 4 tops, 3 tops, 1 top.
Yeah, and then everyone else got 1
yeah,
top, and it
yeah.
was the 2 successful zones that secured that 3rd place for Stasha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one when we look at the results, because this is where the new scoring changes things. Had it been the old scoring system, then Stasha wouldn't have been on the podium, because she required 2 attempts to get her top.
That's true.
But rules are all an artificial construct.
Mm-hmm.
By the nature of having rules, it's artificial, so you
Yeah.
can't say, well,
But I think it's very fair that Stasha, who made more progress on more boulders, gets the medal.
yeah, I agree. But it's an interesting case study. This is the first time we've seen where the results would have been different
Oh, okay, yeah.
under the old scoring system. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. You're rewarded for progress. So there we have it. Akio Noguchi, 4 tops requiring just 5 attempts. Only 1 attempt off the perfect scorecard. She wins here in Chongqing, as she did 3 years ago in a truly dominant performance. Joining her on the podium, Miho Nanaka, first, second, and second. Her results in the first 3 World Cups of the year. Sasha Geho in 3rd place. Katja Capri Anova in 4th. Jessie Piltz in 5th. And Katja Kadik in 6th. And here we can see the flower ceremony. There is Stasha underneath women's 3, which she couldn't quite get. She got the zone. Joined on stage by Miho Nanaka on the left, and there in the middle, Akio Noguchi. 3 years since her last World Cup win. She's back on the top step. And what a performance. Well, we're always hearing about these young up-and-coming Japanese climbers. They seem to be able to produce an extraordinary amount of young climbers, but it's their veteran who's done it today. She was untouchable.
Leading the way for those young climbers. Need a trailblazer.
And we're about to swap one very special guest for another. Alana, before you go, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, anytime.
Fascinating to have you, and good fun as well. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
we just have, as we do the magic headset substitution, very special guest who apparently is suffering from, is this Stasha, is this a form of face cramp you're suffering with? You're saying you feel tight.
Yeah, it's like so much emotion in this moment. When we stood up to wave to the public, I just couldn't even smile from face twitching. Yeah, this is my first medal in the World Cup. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, a World Cup podium.
Yeah.
What's your main emotion? Is it relief that you finally get there, or is it just pure joy?
Both. I mean, okay, I haven't been for so long in the World Cup, so okay, third year for my official competing in the circuit, and finally the first medal. I've been in the finals many times. This year I haven't started as I expected to, but finally I broke the ice, I guess.
Well, I talked about that a little bit in the semi-finals. You've had really good qualifying rounds in all 3 World Cups, but in the last 2 you haven't turned that into a really good semi-final performance. Looking back now, can you identify why it went well today and it didn't go well in Moscow and Meiringen?
Well, if I go analyzing it deeply, there are many elements that affect the performance, and also many of them are psychological and motivational and strength, and you have to combine this with luck and everything, you know, the atmosphere. You can't just say, yeah, that's why I didn't come to finals. But of course, I guess this time I was more prepared according to the last 2 comps. I learned something new then. Maybe a bit of luck, maybe more motivation. I don't know, something happened.
Well, something worked. Let's have I believe we've got a replay of you on Boulder 2. And this was the one you got, and you had such a heart in the mouth moment.
Oh, I just don't know what happened. The foot slipped, and then the public, the audience shouted. It was crazy for me as well. That I was shouting in my head, just hold it, hold it, hold it. You know, it wasn't so easy to stand on. But luckily, yeah, I like slabs. Finally, I'm back at my slab shape.
And these were such time-consuming moves here.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I was there for so long. When it beeped for 1 minute, I was like, oh my god, so quickly. But I knew I would do this move. Then I was a bit hesitating with the foot here because it was all black from my shoe. It's like, should I put it left or right or left? And then one of a sudden I said, I don't care, it will hold.
How much of the move had you read during observation?
All of those, actually. In this one, all of those. I think the only 2 boulders where we had no idea what to do were third one on the mantle. We didn't know how to approach it. Okay. So you could also see that me and Katja had. Yeah, this was the moment. Me and Katja had no idea what to do, and then the other girls said that they turned to the public and were like, "How didn't we think of that?" But then you see, you know, just creativity. Different people have different ideas, and the fourth one, of course, at the end. It was shocking, this move that I tried on the last try to catch the undercling, but then the inertia was so big that I thought I'll land on my face. Okay, with only 2 seconds left. So.
And it looked, from my point of view, like you were quite tired on that last boulder. It's been a really hard couple of days.
Yes, it was actually, because all the boulders, qualifications and semifinals were really, really physical. And after the semifinals, there were so many hard moves, pushy moves on the back. I thought I would break, but then I had a good rest, so I managed to, you know, recover a bit for finals. So it wasn't so bad as I expected to be. But yeah, I think the boulders were really, really physical this time.
And are you quite a confidence climber? Does this make you feel now, what can I do? Or are you someone that likes adversity, or do you think this will help you kick on?
Well, I still have to progress a lot. I know what my mistakes are, what my good sides are, and I know what to do for next comps. Now I can't do much until Taiwan.
No.
I can only rest well, I guess. So it's only next weekend, but for Tokyo, for sure, there are a lot of things to be done.
So what form will that take? Will you go back and watch a replay of yourself on every boulder and analyse, or is this something? Is a lot of it things you've already understood?
Well, there are many, many things that I've understood, but to get a better insight in what exactly to do and what others have done that I haven't, then you learn something new. You have new ideas, new experience in your head. So next time you come, you know how to read the boulder the other way. That maybe 2 weeks ago you haven't had an idea at all. And yeah, you just find out what your weak points and the good points are, and you just balance your shape that you have, and you just do what you can at with what you have.
Well, whatever you did today, it seemed to work pretty well. You are a World Cup medalist.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Finally. Thank you.
It's felt for me like it's been coming for a while, but it's fantastic to
this is
finally have it.
Everything has to come to its place, all the stars.
Feels even better when you had to wait for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And we're underway with the men's final. And it's the special guest roundabout continues. There's Kokoro. First time we've seen his graphics in action. And he's underway on men's 1. And I'm joined by special guest number 3 of the day, Alex Kazanov. Alex, we're just watching Kokoro up to the zone on men's 1. What did you make of the women's final? It was a pretty tough set again.
Yeah, it was, and the boulders were kind of long, I think. But overall, I enjoyed watching it. I think they did quite a good job. All the boulders were top. Akio did 4 tops, so that means that it couldn't have been that much better. Yeah, I think they did a good job. And the men boulders also look pretty good. I'm pretty keen to see what's going to happen.
Well, there we're off to a flyer in the men's. So, men's final, off to a slightly different start to the women's. Off to a flyer. Korafuji first top.
Jarnik Kruder currently on a wave of successes, making 3rd final in a row. It's great to see, really. He's one of the most passionate climbers on the World Cup circuit. And it's nice to see his 10 years experience paying off this year. Doesn't look so bad till the zone, and the second climber to flash it till there.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, chatting to the route setters, that's not how they envisaged it would be done. I think it's actually slightly easier.
Personally, this is the way I thought I was going to climb it if I would have been climbing this. When I visualized the boulders, this is the beta I thought was intended. So, but maybe it's just not maybe easier boulder for kind of smoother start of the comp. So the route setters will be safer with some tops before they move to something harder.
Yeah, interesting. In the women's semi-final, we had very, very few tops. It seemed the same in the final. In the men's, we didn't have that many tops, but we've already got 2 from the first 2 climbers. Both of them flashes. Here's Jakob Schubert. He'll be well aware.
I think he's quite happy with this round. Without even watching him climbing, there's no slabs for the men. And I know Jakob's not the fan of slabs. I think he's quite happy with the standard route setting of this round.
So we get straight into it. Remember, of course, if you are just tuning in, the climbers have had observation. Briefest of touches with the footholds. This new rule about controlling only applies to the handholds. You only have to touch the footholds. He's underway.
It's interesting to see also the white parts of this, those black volumes are no texture. They have no texture, so it makes it a bit harder for the move to the right. It's also the 3rd climber that we've seen that is using this method.
3rd climber, 3rd flash, Jakob Schubert. A minimum of fuss.
One of the strongest climber out there, really. When it comes to physical climbing, it doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, so 3 climbers in, 3 flashes. It's hard to believe this is the same competition as what we've just seen. Here comes Sean McCall.
Really good to see him back in finals.
Yeah,
this
it really
is so
is.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been nice seeing him getting back to shape this year. I mean, every comp was slightly better, and he looked better like in Moscow and better now. And a true legend of the sport. It's nice to see him back.
Well, I mean, obviously it's very, very early on in the final, but if you don't flash this boulder, you are going to be at a big disadvantage, it would seem. Attempts less crucial than they were. You certainly need to top it, it would seem. Oh, well, there's actually...
Wow, that was cool.
You can probably see it inside the zone. There's a black hole inside it just to make it slightly worse. Otherwise, it would be a truly enormous hole, but more than big enough for Sean to do a pretty spectacular swing. Always keen to put on a show. He looks slightly jerky almost, as
He looks
just
fit.
needs to settle into the final. Yeah, he's got power to spare almost.
Yeah, he looks fit. Yeah, maybe change something with the training. Maybe last year, not really successful year for him. Kind of made him think. Maybe change something in his routine. He's not that young anymore, so it's hard to change something in that age. Like, he's not old, of course, but still being 30 years old and changing the ways you train, it's tough. Maybe he did change it, maybe he did not, but something happened for sure. Here's another representative of the older athletes.
That was very politically correct. I was wondering how you were going to phrase that. That's nicely done. Representative of the older generation. No, it's whatever Alexei does seems to work. He's a man you know reasonably well.
Yeah, Alexei is a guy I spent quite a lot of time with. But he's doing a lot to keep his shape high. I mean, he always says, not complains about his age, but always mentions his age. And it's not as easy as it was. And he cannot just train a lot and compete a lot, and he needs to think about his sleeps and his rests as well and how to recover. And it's quite interesting, actually. It's things you get with the experience, I guess.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk recently. He did quite a well-publicised interview with the Innsbruck 2018 organisers that went on their website and has been causing some amusement, delivering his fairly blunt views on European coaches and how things are done. Not much is known about his method, though, is it?
No, not at all. I think it's his secret of success. But still, I mean, also his interviewer, his English is not so good, so I'm pretty sure they maybe did not understand him fully. But yes, he has a really specific vision, and he's a really special guy.
So, speaking of special guys, Jan Hoyer, again, fantastic to have him back in the final. And he's not having too much trouble. I think we're about to see the 6th flash out of 6 climbers. A couple of the climbers, I got the impression, maybe with Sean and slightly with Jan, that they're almost a bit nervous about how easy they're finding the moves, as if there might be some hidden difficulty coming up that they hadn't spotted.
Sometimes you would think that as a competitor, if you do something and it's maybe a bit too simple, you would think maybe there is a trick or maybe there is like some special move. But sometimes it's actually just a simple boulder, and there's no special move. And if you try to find a special move, you would fall. It's just you have to trust your instincts.
Well, there we have it. The route setters talk about how to get separation, how to make sure that climbers don't end up with the same rankings. And it's not started that well from that point of view. 6 climbers, 6 flashes. They move on to M2 now. This is quite a complicated boulder.
It is aesthetic though.
Yeah, but you go right. There's lots of different types of moves. It's an interesting one. You go right. The holds out to the left. Something of a decoy. They're just footholds. and come round back to the left onto the top.
I read this boulder as a feet first in a way. You get your right hand on the volume and you spin around, but I wanted to see how they actually will do it. I'm curious to see what will happen.
So you can see there they start with their hands just underneath the roof, above and left of where it says M2. The pieces of tape denote the start.
Yes!
That's how you read it.
Yes, exactly how I read it.
Great minds think alike.
Koro Fuji, the sole representative of the Japanese team in this final.
Yeah, quite unusual we say that.
Yes, it is.
Tomoe Narasaki, who's currently in joint first place in the overall rankings for 2018, as we see the first failure on a boulder in this men's final. Yeah, Tomoe Narasaki didn't make it through into the final today.
Yeah, the season is really long. You cannot say anything. But still, yeah, the Japanese team, maybe they have less people in every final, but they still have 3 medals in every comp till this one. So,
well, they've collected another 2 today in the women's, so not too bad for Japan.
Yeah, it's still arguably the strongest team in the IFSC Bouldering World Cup.
12th in Meiringen for Kokoro, 17th in Moscow. All 6 finalists here are previous Boulder World Cup winners. Extraordinarily strong field.
That's crazy.
So will he use the same method again? Will it be the rotation? It is. I have to say, earlier on I was on the mats, getting into that position he's in. It's huge, that volume.
Yeah, it's big.
He makes it look quite small because his arm span's so big.
Yeah, they used quite a lot of volumes in this World Cup in general, and I think there's a pattern of quite powerful style in this, going through the qualifications to the semi-finals and now to the finals, which I personally quite like. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a World Cup that are just pure climbing in them and not that much of jumps and tricky boulders. Some can say it's less of a show, but for me it's the best show there is. But that's my opinion, and I respect every other one.
No, but I think as well,
maybe I'm a bit biased as I'm better in this style of climbing.
No, but I think you can, without veering into the parkour style that doesn't always seem to have been very popular, I think you can still have jumps. Outdoor bouldering, real, what people describe as real bouldering or original bouldering, that has jumps. It doesn't mean that every move is static.
No, for sure it can be. Bouldering has a lot of coordination and a lot of movement involved, but
avoiding parkour boulders doesn't mean that everything is just sort of static and power and pulling
even this
hard.
boulder involves a lot of movement in it, spinning around and then putting your toe hooks above your head. It's just more physical and makes the climbers try really hard, and I think it makes something special. It adds something to the competition.
Koro, no problems up to the zone. It's how to get yourself set. Again, this is one of those awkward moves. We had a couple in the women's final where getting there is one thing but moving's another. It's not an easy move, this last one. It makes it stick with 5 seconds to go. 2 tops from here on the first 2 boulders. That one needed a couple of attempts, but he got it done in the end.
Good job for the Koro. Good job. You see how he's rushing to match before the time runs out. You're actually not aware of the clock that much. You hear the beeps, but you're not sure if you have 3 seconds left or 5 seconds left. And it's really hard to know. So once you start hearing the beeps, you really rush.
Yeah, subconsciously, I'm sure you're right. He's just started to rush. Probably had more than enough time to do what he needed to do. There's Yernay. Currently leading the standings, and given the fact that he's in the final and Tomoe Narasaki isn't, and just push that lead out and separate himself from Tomoa. They were level on points coming into this event. It's a bit early to be talking overall rankings, but it's interesting to get try and get a few patterns earlier on.
It's the third competition of the year out of 7, so it's almost midway.
Beginning to take shape, yeah.
I think it's alright. I think he's in a really good position, and if he keeps his flow that you can see lately, and he'll keep climbing freely as he climbs, and I think he has a good chance of securing at least a medal in the overall rankings. But as you said, the season is really long and everything can change.
He's going well on this boulder. He looked like he just needed to get a bit higher before he committed to the zone, and once he got himself into that position, it looked pretty solid. There's not really anything for the feet here. There's no screw-ons on that cylindrical volume that he started out on.
Tries so hard here, squeezing with his feet going left.
Oh,
You can see how hard he's trying. His breathing, his tension.
Now again, this needs to get himself set. As I said, there's not really anything for the feet, and that's the problem it causes you.
You could see that how exhausted he is. This another thing that is going on in these finals lately, or in this competition in general, that the boulders are quite long, and it's unusual for most of the World Cups.
Yeah, we were saying that with Alana in the women's competition. It felt like there was a lot involved in getting to the top of any of the boulders. A lot of moves, a lot of coordination.
It's just a lot. I mean, it gets you tired. I'm not sure if he's going to do more than one more attempt.
He looks tired. I mean, things like gripping the volume with your heels, it might not look quite as tiring as powering your way up a wall when it's all on your arms, but it's exhausting in a different way.
I think you maybe even more. Your body gets tired, it's not just your arms, and then every move is harder. I mean, maybe you can hold the hold, but you cannot bring your feet high, you cannot press your feet. And his boulder is really tension.
You can see in his face, there's still some fatigue. I think he could well be right. He decided to take the chalk bag this time. Yeah, he's been on the mats over a minute now.
Yeah, pretty sure it's going to be his last try.
It takes so long to get there as well. That's the other thing. It's not just energy, it's literally time required to get to that move that he struggled with.
He's going slightly faster this time. Probably want to save some energy. He knows their way as well, so once you know what to do and you're sure 100% it's going to work because it worked before, it's a bit easier to do. You're not pressing that hard with your hands and you're getting less tired.
Again, exhausting move. The root test was saying you can get a bit of weight onto your backside there, but not really enough to get much of a rest. Just eases the tension slightly.
I knew he's running out of time.
So no top for Yerne.
Puts Kokoro in quite a good position.
You can't get much closer to the action than that.
That's a good angle.
Jakob Schubert will climb next. Here he comes.
The powerhouse. I think this can really suit him. He's extremely strong.
I was just watching his graphic there. Brilliant. No, he is. He's no shortage of power.
One of the greatest rock climbers I've met.
I really enjoy watching him as well. He sort of prowls around the stage, looking at the boulder. It's like he's hunting it. You know, he's kind of finding the right angle to look at it, and then he attacks.
I think he's also visualizing.
Yeah.
If you walk around and try to understand the angles and try to see the boulder and like in all of its dimensions, you can visualize much better, and then it's maybe a bit easier to climb even. got the sequence in the first go. Moving on to the right side. Slightly different method than the ones that Jarne used. Locking his hip, securing the zone in his first try.
This is a really good first effort from Jakob Schubert.
Looking quite strong at the moment.
Yeah, effort just beginning to show slightly, but still looks like he's got plenty left to get this done.
Some of the advantages of being an extremely gifted lead climber, that you always have endurance.
Yeah, he can hang on a long time, and this really does look promising now because he's got himself set on the 2 key screw-on holds on that volume. That is a top Jakob Schubert. That's what it means. Perfect start to him for this final.
Here on the coaches.
So quite the contrast to the women's final. That was more of a chess match. This is lots of tops. Jene Kruder missed out on men's 2. Might come back to haunt him. Awful long way to go. But Jakob Schubert and Kokoro Fuji got it done. First go for Jakob Schubert, so he has the perfect scorecard so far. 2 tops, 2 zones, 2 attempts for both. Here's Sean McCall.
Another gifted lead climber. Can also suit him.
First World Cup for Sean, 2003. He's been at it a long time, and with a lot of success. So he's definitely read the method right.
That was pretty solid.
Yeah, really accurate to get to that key screw on the cylindrical volume.
Looking good at the moment. I have to say, he's looking pretty strong.
Yeah, he's looking
all this weekend.
Yeah, he was didn't have a great time in Meiring, and better in Moscow, even better here in Chongqing. The curve is certainly going upwards for Sean McCall in this bouldering season. And he could make this 2 flashes. He keeps going. Looks so solid. Just needs to get the right hand on that screw on. Creep the left hand up. Launch for the top.
Yes.
There it is.
Really
2:40 still left on the clock.
Canadian teammates. Yeah, we'll be really happy with that. And he looked really good. I have to say that it didn't look really hard for him. And I'm happy to see him back. Kind of missed seeing Sean in that shape.
There it is. So here's Alexei, we discussed him earlier. One of the most determined climbers out there.
Alexei is also really strong.
It's a good combination.
Not only determined, but yes.
Slightly optimistically went for the jump.
Recently opened his own gym. Kind of interesting to see if it's influences his training a bit this year. Looking quite fit at the moment.
So he just missed his start then due to the replay, but whatever he did, he made it work. We'll hopefully get a replay for you. Now heading out right.
Looking good. Using that knee bar.
Yeah, this is nice, solid stuff from Alexei.
Same method as Sean. Till now.
Just needs to find a way to get some weight through his feet as he heads out to the left.
Reaches the shoulder, needs to match it, needs to find his feet in order to match the hold.
And going for the toe hook just to make life a bit easier as he pops up with the left hand. Goes with the right hand. This is a physical way of doing the boulder.
A bit of reading mistake, I would say. I couldn't find the speed below the roof. The easiest way that we saw is Sean and Jakob using the fridge volume in order to squeeze their feet and then release some tension from the head. And
speaking of the volumes, got a question from IFSC photographer Eddie watching back in New Zealand. Firstly, he says, hi Alex. He says, can you ask Alex what he thinks of the volumes, the friction and the heat?
So first of all, I want to say that we all miss him here, and it's weird to be in a World Cup without him around. And then second of all, I feel like the friction of the volumes got much better from last year's. Maybe they changed some stuff with the volumes, with the material. And actually we're quite lucky with the weather this year. It's really cloudy here. And there was even rain yesterday evening, so it feels a bit cooler than last year. Last year was really, really warm, and now it's slightly better.
1 minute 10 left for Alexei Rubtsov to get this boulder done. Slightly surprising, he went for that jump at the start, really high risk move, and then just seemed to get his hands mixed up in the top section.
I think it's just a reading mistake. We saw Kruder doing the same thing. I would not be surprised if they thought about this method together. Now he knows what he needs to do, it looks like at least. I just hope he will have enough time. It's quite of a long boulder. Looks okay, 35 minutes, seconds left.
Yeah, he's got time, doesn't have that much time. He won't have time for another full attempt. If this one doesn't work out, he won't have time to get back up here. So this is it for Alexei Rubtsov.
Found the right feet this time.
And he's off. Just trying to get his hands set. He couldn't quite find the method. Frustrating for him. You can see him shaking his head as he walks off the stage.
He knows that he could have done it. Looks like he just kind of rushed his matching this hold. He moved his hand completely above the volume, and instead of taking the time and matching on the hold finger by finger. Here we go. He moved his entire hand.
Perhaps slightly aware of the time. He probably had more time than he realised. But as you say, it's pretty hard to go and look over at the clock. There's Jan Hoyt.
It's a final of powerhouses, really. Another really strong guy. It's also nice to see him back in finals after Munich last year. He looked really fit this year when I seen him climbing. He looked in a good shape. It just seemed like he couldn't show it that well. And now it's to see that in the semi-finals he could show his current shape and climb smoothly into this round.
Pretty smooth so far from Jan. He's using that blue volume, his backside's on to good use. As I say, told you can get it, you can get something out of it. There you can see, get a bit of the weight off. Okay, Stasha and Jessie down the front, pretty much. And in fact, the entire women's final watching on.
Let's see if he can find the feet. He's fighting hard to find a position to match.
And he launched from quite low down. He just couldn't find that comfortable position, could he? And that's taken a lot out of him. He was in that.
You can see how exhausted he is. And I said those boulders are long and it takes a lot of power out of you. I'm sure if they all had a proper rest of 5 or 10 minutes, they would have done it. Next go. It's hard to rest 1 minute after a go like this and go back with full power. Especially we're not, as a competitors, we're not used to such long boulders. I mean, World Cups in bouldering, it's usually slightly shorter boulders and you maybe have more attempts, or maybe just the boulder is less tiring than this. And this is kind of special. We haven't seen that much of those boulders. I would imagine that it's almost like competing in Vale, where you have less oxygen and every attempt count. I think it's a nice mix.
So Yanni was in that really awkward, almost gymnastic iron cross position, the arms out wide, palms facing him for a long time. Must have taken a bit out of him. This boulder flashed by Sean McCall and Jakob Schubert. Kokoro Fuji got it third go. So Sean and Jakob with perfect scorecards, 2 boulders, 2 flashes.
It's important to notice that the new rules, the number of attempts might not be so crucial. It's just depending on the next set of boulders. But usually now we are not looking at the attempts as much as we've been before. So it's okay to, still not okay, you want to do it in as least attempts as you can, but you can afford yourself more room to try, to maybe fall sometimes.
Oh, yeah, and you could see the fatigue. He just slapped out with the left hand. But just interesting about this scoring, I was having this conversation with Alana Yip at the end of the women's competition that we would have had a different podium under the old scoring system. So it is slightly changing things.
Yes, I know. Would have been in finals in Moscow with the old scoring.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Sorry to bring
but
that up.
it's a game. Those are the rules, and we have to play by the rules. Sometimes they're in your favor, sometimes they're not. I mean, those are the rules, and
hey, they're the same for everyone.
It's the same for everyone, exactly. You just need to know how to deal with it. So now you can maybe spend more attempts, but you really have to get the zones. So it's just, again, it's just different rules and different tactics maybe. But all in all, if you're really the best, you will stay the best.
And there we can see at the top, Sean McCall, Jakob Schubert, Kokoro Fuji, Jan Hoyer, Alexei Rubzov and Jerne Kruder as it stands. It's their first chance to have a look at men's 3. We can see Kokoro Fuji getting underway. So this a relatively simple boulder in terms of figuring it out, but massively physical again.
It looks really hard actually. Like, you have to start the swing with the feet on the slab, and the slab is not that slabby. It's not, it's maybe 5 degrees slab.
Yeah, it's only just a slab.
And you have to swing your body to the right and stop the swing. And not a great hole, I have to say.
No, it's the bottom of those half moon shaped holes, just below the zone hold. The ball as well that they go up to from the starting position is dual texture as well. There's a tiny screw-on hole that you can see Kokoro's got with his left hand.
Look, guys, he's not putting his feet high enough. If you jump sideways, we want your feet in a perfect height so they can stop the swing of your body.
And so that you can basically push yourself in, you push your feet into the wall.
You push out, so you make you push out with your hand, you push out with the feet, and you make tension.
Okay, so this is what we were talking about, Kokoro burning through the attempt, seemingly not too worried about them. Needs to get at least a zone to make it count.
And with the 2 tops already, he really wants it. I look like slightly better on this jump. Feet a bit higher, you can make the tension. In general, in climbing, you want to make tension. If we press with the hand, we want to press with the foot. So we always want to find ways to make tension.
So Kokoro pulls on men's 3. He's the first climber on it.
Just say he's not resting that much.
It's not taking much out of him, and he's definitely getting closer with every attempt. It looks like he's a split second longer before he comes down each time.
It looks promising, but there's only 1 minute and a bit left. It's not much. Slightly different way of jumping.
It's interesting that he's not opting to use the left hand as well. It's clearly not a contact strength thing, it's a balance issue.
It is. I think it's more of a body positioning. You have to find the position of your body really fast. You have to know your size of your body and where to jump with the foot exactly in order to make it. Like, he's searching. He's first stopping and then he's searching the position that he can stay in. But it's better if you just jump in the perfect position for your size of your body.
Yeah, and you can see it's accurate. He's finding that screw on the yellow volume.
He's rushing now. He knows that he has only 20 seconds left and he really wants that zone. I think it's...
Yeah, I thought he was going to have another go. No, that really would have been optimistic. So Kokoro, nothing for him on boulder 3. Those of you just turning on, Charlie Roscoe here. My third very special guest of the day, Alex Kazanov. Had a Lani Hip, Stashigeo. Now Alex Kazanov. It's a who's who of climbing making their way through the commentary box. We've already had the women's final. It was won and dominated by Akira Noguchi. Men's final wide open.
Again, one of my favorite climbers to watch, really. And a good friend, but you know, also really nice to watch.
Let's see his first attempt at the jump.
His style of the jump.
That's a hard move. He's again looked like he had the right part of the hold. Interestingly, not going for attempt after attempt like Kokoro did.
I think he knows he can do it. I think he knows he can do it. I think he really tried to think how he can do it, visualize himself doing it. I think this jump is really important to know what you're going to do with your body. It's not just about how many attempts you do. It's not really far. It's not really hard to get the hold. So I think it's better to save some attempts and actually think about what you're going to do.
Here he goes again, outright. And it's a mirror image of Kokoro. He's definitely getting there. He's definitely finding the right part of the hole.
And it looks like his feet are really far left, and he really needs his right foot to be as far right as he can. And it's really hard to do. It's easy for me to say, but when you're there, it's really hard to do.
Ask for the brushes to do their thing. It's really interesting watching Yone, the shift in the mindset. He just expects to be in the final now.
I don't think he expects to be in the final. I think he's excited to be in the final. I think he's relaxed. He knows that it won't happen forever. At some point, and he won't make it to finals. So then he can climb slightly more freely, with less expectations, and that's really special. That's really special about his character as well. Some people, when they do well, they always expect to do well, but he knows that sometimes it won't happen. So he can climb better, and then he actually climbs better that way.
Whatever he's doing, it's certainly working.
He always climbs with a smile as well. It makes everything easier.
Goes again. The route setters might be watching this slightly nervously. It's been pretty much the same outcome from every attempt from Kokoro and Yone.
If Tomoa would have been in the finals, I would say we still have Tomoa, but unfortunately he's out, and there's no clear favorite for this jump except Kruder. Still, there's quite a few people to go, and I'm curious to see if Jan can static it, as he usually do.
Yeah, it might just about be in reach for Jan. So this time Yone trying to use his left hand as well to stop the swing slightly. 30 seconds left. Time for another couple of attempts. If it makes it stick, this will be the last attempt, you'd imagine. Have a final look at the clock, and he thinks, yeah, why not? One more. Could get a zone out of this. He'll have to be quick. No joy. Okay, so no zones, no tops from the first two climbers on this boulder. Gregor Vazonik.
Teammate.
Yeah, third 2 weeks ago in Moscow.
Climbed pretty well here as well. Made semis, finished in 13th place.
Yeah, it's still a very good result.
Something opened in the Slovenian team, looks like.
Yeah, well, every one of their climbers made it into the semi-finals.
Half of them made it to finals.
That's a pretty good effort. That's what we like from Jakov on his graphics. Brilliant. So he pulls on. First attempt at the jump. If he or Sean could get this one done, it would put them in an incredibly strong position. That looked closer.
Looked pretty good. Yeah, I have to say that it was accurate, and his position was pretty good.
Quite knows exactly what he wants from the brusher.
Yeah, brushing is a whole different story. Sometimes you can be really angry at your brusher. Sometimes you're really thankful that the brusher knows what he's doing. Especially when you're not doing so well and you're quite aggressive. Sometimes you get really angry.
Let's have a look at Jakov. Is this a change of method? He's going to try and bridge out. No, he's going to jump. Yeah, the first attempt looked the better of the two.
But the first time he jumped with one hand, and I think that's the right thing to do. But nice to see that he's not spending that many attempts. He's thinking, he's resting, and maybe he's thinking about the rest as well. So he saves some power for the top part.
So he's had a couple of attempts. More than half his time remaining. Trying to get himself as close as possible before he goes.
Missed with the foot, looks like, but went quite good with the hands, I have to say. It's a good jump for him.
Just as we watch Jakov, you've mentioned your World Cups a couple of times already tonight. How are you feeling about the season? So close in Moscow to that elusive final.
Yeah, I've been feeling quite well. I'm well prepared. My off season was pretty successful in terms of training. Yeah, it's good. I know I can do quite well now. My shape is good, and I'm excited to see if I can do well in the next stages. It's quite a hard game, this World Cup. Everyone is so good. There's probably 40 guys that can make finals, in my opinion, and it's really hard to make semis every round, and then it's hard to make finals. So when you don't have that many chances in the semis, it's hard to make these finals.
Again, Jakov struggling with the jump. Look like he's getting a bit frustrated.
For me, it's what makes special, this randomness, the World Cup. It's so hard. For me, it's much harder than just go and climb something hard when I know I'm in a good physical shape. Here, for good physical shape is not everything.
Means when you do make it, you'll really have earned it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm confident so I'll make it.
"15 seconds to go for Jakov to figure this one out." I don't think he's
Looks
going
like
to.
He's not going to happen from him either. The route setters are shaking now, most probably. There's still two really strong climbers left to go. Three,
yes.
Yeah. And so I really hope some of them can do it. I have to say, it doesn't look that easy after the jump either. Once you stick the jump, you really have to make it count.
Yeah, I don't think it's especially hard to read after that, but it's physically hard.
I think the jump is not really hard to read either, but it's quite hard to execute.
Yeah, that's true. So let's have a look. Sean, the latest climber to try his luck. First go for him.
Let's say he took his time on the first go. 40 seconds.
Yeah, but then by the same token, we saw Kokoro just having attempt after attempt, and it looked as if 3 or 4th in the end, he wasn't really making much progress. It was just almost mindless attempts. Sean just taking a bit more time at perhaps trying to make each one count.
Usually in qualifications and semifinals, when we're not seeing the boulders before, we would like to have a minute to observe the boulder to understand what the route setters wanted us to do, and then maybe to visualize how we're going to do it. In the finals, it's slightly different, as we see the boulders beforehand, and we can even visualize them in the isolation. So usually you won't spend that much time before the first attempt, because you already know what you're going to do.
Quite an unusual angle there, right underneath Sean, basically. Yeah, the route setter's definitely getting nervous now. You can see the cogs turning. Sean is trying to wondering if there's something he's missed.
I think he's trying to understand the position of the body. I don't think there's much you can miss in this boulder. It's quite simple. 5 handholds, except the start.
Yeah. Be interested to chat to him afterwards and see what he was trying to spot on the boulder.
Yeah, I agree. Also interesting to know what he's been doing lately. I know he went to Japan straight after the World Cup in Moscow, which is always a good thing to go to Japan, as the gyms are so incredible. But I'm sure it's not all.
That was getting closer. Yeah, I think when your climbing career comes to an end, there could be a place at the Japanese tourist board. You're a big fan.
I love Japan, yes. I won't lie about this. I am personally really excited to go back there for the World Cup.
Yeah, popular place to train. A few of the climbers, like Sean, have already been over this year. Make the most of the facilities and the community. The culture there.
There's
climbing culture.
A lot of strong climbers in Japan, and also the food is quite convenient. It's quite healthy. It's kind of close to our diets usually. It's just a nice place to be. 40 seconds left. Not much progress. Finn's starting to wonder if it's going to happen for him in this jump.
Yeah, he's looked reasonably close. He's definitely not dropped straight off the handhold. He's been able to hang in there for a split second.
Till now the closest was Kokoro, actually. Last attempt for Sean. Let's see if I can get the zone here.
7 seconds to go.
Won't happen from him either.
What do you think? Obviously, we're sitting here, nice and easy for us to say with the benefit of hindsight, but what do you think the route setters could add to the boulder to make this jump a bit more doable? Is it just something to aim for with your foot, maybe?
A foot, yeah, would have been better, or just a bigger hand. It's always easier to make the boulders harder or easier. It's just really hard to get the exact level. I mean, those guys are so good at what they do. And imagine the route setters. I mean, of course they're not bad climbers either, but just to know the ability of those climbers and who will be in the finals. They set the finals before the competition, and they don't know who's going to be there.
Well, yeah, they generally set the finals at the start of the week before, so it's days before.
So imagine they think about the jump and they imagine the athletes that are competing and they're saying, okay, this jump maybe Tomoa can do or someone jumps really well do, but then now he's not in the finals and it changes. It always changes. So I think they have an extremely hard job to do. And I have to say, I really enjoyed the setting till to the finals. Qualifications, semi-finals were perfect in my opinion, and I have a lot of respect for the route-setters.
I think they've done a pretty fabulous job here in Chongqing. I just think they'll be perhaps wishing they just added something to make this boulder that bit more doable, and that's not bad from Alexei. Kind of tap with his feet, left one landed, right one landed.
Interesting, went left foot to the wall. That was actually pretty smart.
It's quite smart. Kill a bit of the speed and then get the right one solid and use it to stay there.
One thing he mentioned in the interview is that the climber should be smart and they should have some education. I found it quite interesting, really.
Well, this is a long debate. I remember having this conversation with a non-climbing friend of mine, and I was making the case that climbers are how intelligent they are and how popular climbing is amongst academics and things. He wasn't buying it, but I thought I made a strong case.
I think you should be open for a lot of options, especially in bouldering. You have to assess and to think a lot in a really short time.
One thing that's really interesting here, it's quite a specific type of intelligence, it's practical intelligence. It's problem solving. It might not necessarily mean that you're amazing academically, but it's a specific type of intelligence.
Yes, I agree.
Alexei.
He understands that nobody did this jump. I have to say, he looks maybe the closest, but maybe he feels differently. I don't know.
Yeah, I think every time you see someone try it, it feels like they've got the closest. Here he goes. He's really not sure about this. I'd say I think on balance, Root Setter's done a really good job, but if this one, it just needs maybe something to catch with the left hand or something to aim for the feet.
If nobody does this boulder, I think it puts Jacob and Sean in an extremely good position. It's going to be really hard to catch them. Also Kokor. Looks like the French team is not having that much fun.
Graham Alderson, our technical delegate here in Chongqing, also in Taiwan next week.
Less attempt for Alexei. I think he's not that determined to do this jump. Yeah. He's laughing. He knows that something is wrong.
So we got one more climber to attempt it. Will be Jan Hoyer. As you said, as you called it, can he find a method that doesn't involve the jump? It's an awfully long way. I don't think you can do it statically. I don't think you can just span it.
Never say never with Jan Hoyer.
But I would. That's not thinking you can do it.
This
I
guy.
Definitely. I wouldn't bet my mortgage on it.
This guy can do a lot of things. He once told me something nice. Like, some people blame him all the time that saying, he's tall, he just reaches things. And then he told me, well, do you see a lot of people tall as me in the World Cup? That means I do something that the others don't. I'm not only tall.
It's a really good point, actually. Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, if it was easy for tall people, everyone would just be 2 meters tall and spanning all the moves. It's very true. Well, I remember after Munich, and we did a live interview at the end of our live stream, and he said, maybe it was easier for taller people. And I said to him, it evens out. Trust me, it evens out over the course of the year.
Some moves might be easier, but for sure some of them are harder. And also, not a lot of people can span moves under like Jan does. I mean, his shoulders are really strong, his arms are really strong, so it allows him to do it. But
it's one thing being able to reach a hold, it's another to have the strength to hold on to it.
For sure.
So here he goes again.
That was good.
That was good. I think if he nails this jump, he should be away. I think the rest of the boulder will suit him.
A zone for him, or a top and a zone will put him in a great position for next boulder. He will be the only climber with 2 tops and 3 zones.
Still nothing for Jan, 1:45 left. I think there could be a big screen that someone's just spotted themselves on. Brilliant. So Jan pulls back on boulder 3. Final climber on it, and then we're down to the last boulder, and it's all to play for. We've got 3 climbers already with 2 tops. Jan Hoyer looking to become a climber with 2 tops, but going to be difficult on this boulder. One minute left to find something on this boulder. No zones, no tops yet. The jump is just a tiny bit too hard. We've seen it, a few climbers come really close to sticking it. No one's quite managed it.
It's really hard to smear the foot on the slab. There's no hold to stop you. You just have to put your foot in the right place.
.26 seconds to go. Again, he's getting close. I get the impression if these climbers were able to come out here for half an hour and help each other out, someone would get this jump done.
Yeah, but 5 minutes is not enough time to make a jump like this. No tops and no zones on this boulder. A bit disappointed to see that, because that means 2 boulders are out of the question. First one, everyone flashed it. This one, nobody does. That means we play on 2 boulders. It's not a perfect situation, but I hope the climbers will do the best of it. The last boulder will give us a good show.
Yeah, boulder 4, final one of the day. It's hiding behind the pillar there. So there you see it. Sean McCall currently leading the way ahead of Jakob Schubert. They've got the same score. Previous round comes into it, and Sean qualified higher out of the semi-final. Kokoro Fuji in 3rd place. Jan Hoyer, Alexei Rumsov and Jerne Kruder.
I'm quite a surprising results, I have to say, but actually basing them on 1 boulder,
it's going to come down to this boulder.
Volume-oriented boulder, quite hard to read, and I think there's some interesting moves in it, but now more than ever it's a question of difficulty. I personally don't mind the style of the boulder as much as the difficulty. The difficulty was good. Kokoro just spent 1 attempt. He's going for the 2nd one.
Promising method.
Looks like he could even kick the higher volume with his foot and stop the swing.
You can see darkness falling here in Chongqing. It's pretty dark, the last of the light in the evening sky.
Makes it a bit easier for the climbers, slightly colder than it was.
Yeah, the temperature's plummeted. Still got the speed final to come this evening as well, don't forget that. It was supposed to be at 8 o'clock, I believe. That's certainly going to get pushed back. It's 20 to 8 already. Kokoro is in third after the third boulder.
Nakagoshi, the trainer of the Japanese team.
Whatever she's doing to train
Holder
the team
of the
is working.
secret.
Yeah, exactly. Keeper of the secret.
Yes.
Just to give you some idea of how tight this is, if Kokoro can top this boulder, he'll go into the top of the rankings and put Sean and Jakob under some real pressure. He would be the first climber with 3 tops were he to get it done.
Gets this one. Wow, nice toe catch over there. That was good instinct. Needs to transfer it to the right and put his foot really high. At least this is how I read it. Yes, exactly.
There it is. That's glute and hamstring flexibility.
Japanese climbers known for their flexibility. They stretch like 2 hours before the round. It's quite impressive and to watch. Actually looking good now, getting the hole before the top. The top is a big jug.
So Kokoro Fuji's lining this one up. That's the second to last hole he's on. His left hand on the zone, right hand on the second to last hole. Needs to find a way to match with the right and go straight for the top.
Yes, we will be really happy for this.
Kokoro Fuji, that was incredible. I thought he was going to match the hole before. Just that is one method the route setters mentioned, just to slap on it briefly with the left hand and carry on through.
That was a great instinct. I think he wanted to go left, and then in the end he did it with a kind of triple dyno method. He's just secured himself a podium. That's quite amazing. I think you'll be happy. He deserves it. He's a strong fellow.
So real pressure now. Everyone got a flash on the first boulder. Nobody got anything on the third boulder, so it's the second and the fourth boulders. They're proving so critical. Kokoro Fuji, just to confirm, that was his 5th go he did it.
Kruder looking good. Just wanted to say he looks quite static. This is his style of a boulder. I mean, he's, and actually Alexis as well. Alexis likes pushing stuff. We'll see how it turns out. It's interesting.
Yeah, coming into this boulder, he was in 6th place. Yeah, no. Doesn't mean much with the climbers still to come out, but Kokoro Fuji's put himself at the top for now.
He's for sure secured the medal, and that's something we can be quite happy about.
Yep, so you were saying about Japan collecting 3 medals. I'll do that again here. Yene Kruder's already
that's true.
Yene Kruder's already got 2 medals this season from 2 World Cups. Can he make it 3?
Kokoro went the other way around. Here we go. He just understood that what he needs to do. He's kind of wrong with the hand. I believe so. He needs to switch it. Yes, exactly. Left foot high. It's kind of flexibility. You see how hard it is for him to bring the foot. For Kokoro, it wasn't such a big problem.
Yeah, that's a perfect demonstration of the importance of flexibility. Kokoro just still looked a stretch, but he could just chuck his left foot up. This was Yene a bit lower down. Nice and easy does it. That was it. He just couldn't get the foot high enough. He kind of slapped at it. Didn't stick.
He knows what he needs to do now. Sure, he might try to change the position of the hand. The position of the hand is crucial for bringing the foot up. If you can bring your head a bit higher and more kind of far away from your body, then means that you have to it will be a bit easier to bring the foot up. So you have to you can spread your feet a bit less.
So and he pulls on. He got 1 minute 15 to go. Top here would leave him with a final score of 2 tops and 2 zones. Oh, amazing work from Yene.
That was a great thinking. I wasn't thinking it's gonna work for him. He thought about it so fast and just did it. Wow.
Yeah, and
What was that?
it doesn't seem to have got him out of the problem he had of how to get his foot high, but again he finds an alternative method. That just came from nowhere. He was on the starting hold, suddenly he was 2 meters higher. Oh, extraordinary stuff.
He's tired.
He looks tired now. Yeah, so he should be.
Gonna be
incredible.
Go now.
Let's have a look. This just seemingly came from nowhere. He just didn't like the look of the lower section of the boulder. Whoa. Yeah, that was a replay from earlier on. 15 seconds to go. He doesn't fancy that extraordinary jump again. And he's done. Hands on his knees, tired. He's given that one everything he's got. And he makes his third final in 3 World Cups in 2018, but doesn't quite take home the third medal.
If Jacob now gets a zone, I think it puts him in a quite a good position. Put a lot of pressure on Alexei and Jan to flash the boulder. And it's the only way they can beat him. If he gets the boulder. A zone, sorry.
Yeah, Kokoro Fuji got 3 tops, requiring 9 attempts. Jakob Schubert's currently got 2 tops. It took him 2 attempts, so almost certainly, if he gets this done, he'll get it done in few enough attempts that he'll take over from Kokoro at the provisional top of the rankings.
His first attempt looked quite good. It's quite of a tricky section. You cannot just jump in it, it seems. You have to think what you're going to do with the feet. Maybe start with the toe, maybe throw them to the right.
So he's underway on attempt number 2 with 3 minutes to go.
Going a bit more static this time. Threw his feet to the right to stop the swing. Going thinking about slightly different method that we saw Kokoro do.
Yeah, and the right foot just pops. Cameraman got his timing right there.
I think it's important to go with the right hand on the big volume on the right. You can also see, even in the stream on the left side, the volume on the left side, there's quite a lot of rubber and not that much chalk. As on the right one, there's a bit more chalk on the side, so you can see some fingertips. That can be a clue for a climber to understand the beta, the intended beta at least. Not always the intended beta is the best hitting for the climber, but it still helps you to think. It gives you ideas what to do.
Discussion going on in the front row amongst Team Austria. Not to mention a bit of encouragement.
Doing it again, looking pretty solid. Needs to throw his foot to the right.
What's the method here? Nicely done, okay.
Let's see if he understands what he needs to do.
He's got himself in a really awkward position, but it seems to be working for him. He's got it now commit at some stage to going up to the zone. He might do it dynamically.
So much pressure on the foot there. He's looking pretty good. He stood up.
Again, it was the right foot that went. It was in a different position to the last time, but it was the same foot on the same volume.
Pretty sure the left foot slipped right now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, but it's even if he would stand up to the hold, it's hard to imagine how can he grab it. It doesn't look like the best hold. Maybe less good attempt from him.
Yeah, he's got plenty of attempts to spare, but even so, he can't keep burning through him like this.
One more thing is that he needs to hold the first hold with both hands and not just touch it and go. There's a new rule says you have to be in control on the starting holds.
Starting hand holds.
Starting hand holds, yeah.
So he's got 20 seconds to go. I think time's really going to be an issue here. This is not a quick sequence of moves. He's going to have to go more or less directly to the zone.
He got a sequence now, but 10 seconds that's it.
Well, Jakob Schubert stormed out of the blocks with 2 flashes on the first 2 boulders. Nothing since then.
Leave him in 3rd place.
Leave him in 3rd place for now. With that man there still to come. Sean McCall, Alexei Rubtsov and Jan Hoyer. Sean McCall
Potentially can win the comp if he does it.
He can.
In enough attempts. He has quite a few attempts to spare.
Yeah, he's got a lot of attempts to spare. 7.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. Even though in this start of a boulder and this start, you can spend some attempts just by rushing it.
So Sean McCall, if he gets this boulder done in short order, not burning too many attempts, he will win the competition.
I think he probably knows that. Makes the pressure quite high.
Well, they've got the screen behind the wall these days. You can see the scores after each boulder.
Yes, so it's even
He'll
harder for him.
He'll have a pretty good idea, yeah.
Hope he can take this 15 years of World Cup experience and competition experience. And
it's just mind-blowing when you think about the physical toll that takes on your body and training and traveling and different hotels and food, and to still be doing it at this level is just incredible.
I was not climbing in 2003. It's hard to imagine. I was 8 years old. Looking quite strong and a lot of tension here. Needs to throw the foot or bump the hand. He bumps the hand, he throws the foot. Looking quite comfortable.
Sean McCall, it's all to play for here on this men's final boulder. In the women's, it got decided on the 3rd one. In the men's, it's all coming down to this. Kokoro Fuji is currently at the top of the standings, but if Sean McCall can top this boulder, he's going to win the World Cup here in Chongqing.
We already said classic Sean McCall move right here.
Creeping his way up, heading out to the zone.
Got the zone. It'll be good for him.
Plenty of encouragement coming from the crowd. At some stage he's got to spin round, and then he's got to get the volume above and to the right with his right hand and the left, and then the top awaits. The top is a pretty good hold. Just needs to find a way. I don't think he can do it facing out. I think he needs to turn round. Surely he's not going to try and dyno it from there, is he, and spin round?
He's trying to. It looks
he's thinking about it.
So much tension involved right now. Come on. I think he knows that. Look at how much he sweats for his fingertips.
Sean McCall, it's all riding on this. It's a massive moment here in Chongqing. Sean McCall somehow has got to turn around, grab the top hold, and I wonder if he's going to try it from where he is.
He's going to try to. Whoa, that's crazy.
Somehow he gets the right hand on.
He's fighting so. No!
And he's spat off. That is an absolute heartbreaker for Sean McCall.
That was actually heartbreaking. Okay, he got a minute. He knows what to do now. He can go much faster.
What can you do? What can you do but laugh? Oh,
my heart is broken, really.
Yeah, I know that was. Sometimes you feel like someone just deserves a boulder, but it doesn't count that you got both hands on the top.
No, for sure not. He's a bit tired, but I think he knows what he needs to do.
Well, with all his endurance, I mean, he's such an all-round climber, a lead climber, speed climber, everything else. You just wonder if he's burned too much energy. And he's so frustrated.
I think he knows that he won't do it. I don't think he doesn't look frustrated. I think he knows that probably got a medal.
Yeah, that's a really tricky one though, Sean. He was fighting and fighting and fighting, and somehow got himself turned around in the zone.
The only way that Alexei and Jan can do better than him if they flash it, and that makes a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, that also confirms that Kokoro Fuji wins here in Chongqing. He'll end with 3 tops. No one is going to catch him now. Jakob Schubert, Jakob Schubert and Sean McCall both came on to this boulder with 2 tops. They could have caught him, and Sean McCall came incredibly close to managing it.
Makes this season quite interesting. But I have to say that based on 2 boulders, and that's a bit of a pity. But still, Kokoro is one of the best climbers I know, and it's quite nice to see him back in the top of the podium.
First final of 2018.
That's it. Alexi cannot do better than Sean. That means that Sean secured himself a podium at least.
Yeah, Jakob Schubert's got a bit of a nervous wait while he watches Alexei Rubtsov and Jan Hoyer atop, regardless of attempts for either of them would displace Jakob from the podium. Alexei, well, you know him better than me, looks slightly tired.
I think he's tired mentally. He knows he cannot win. Makes it a bit tougher on him. Alexei is the style of a person that when he knows that he's not gonna win, it's maybe a bit harder for him. Looking really strong though.
Oh,
wow.
No
what a
shortage.
move that was. Foot high, no problems for him. He's really flexible. He's working that for a long time.
It doesn't look that secure, that left foot, but it's somehow staying there. Amazingly done from Alexei Rubtsov.
I told you liked this style of bowler.
You certainly did.
Really wants to top it to secure himself.
So really it just slapped through with the left hand. You can see that final hold. Is he just going to go with the right? He is.
Gets it, and it's a top for Alexei. He will be really happy with this.
Yeah, that'll move him
to 3rd place.
Up to 3rd place. Yeah, Jakob Schubert, very sportsmanlike, applauding, but no doubt aware of what that means for his own possibility of a medal. Time to not quite showboat, but enjoy the moment. So Jan Hoyer, the last man out.
Jan needs to do it in 2 attempts. 3 attempts.
He's got a few. Yeah, got a few attempts to spare, but needs to do it pretty quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, needs to, as you say, needs to do it in 3 attempts. And it could come down to zones, gets a bit more complicated after that.
Yeah, looks good. He's doing the other method, Sean's method. Looks a bit harder. Trying to find a position with the feet. Looking pretty good at the moment.
It's a really interesting boulder, this one. It seems almost infinite ways of doing it.
Maybe I was
pressed underneath that root. He needs to get both hands on the zone hold. It's pretty tricky if you until you've got both hands on the zone. There it is. So now he's got to somehow stand up. Maybe slightly rush that one.
It was a bit low on the hold. He had to stand up in order to do it, but now he knows what he needs to do. I think he knows he can. He has 2 minutes and a half. That's quite a lot. It just looked like he caught a ball hold on the way to the zone. Maybe just my imagination.
Could well be. Tiny details make all the difference. As you can see now, completely pitch black here in Chongqing. I can just look over to our left and see in the distance the last rays of light. It's been a busy day for a lot of these climbers. Bouldering semi-final, speed qualifications, and boulder final.
Yeah, some of the boulders actually did speed practice yesterday evening and speed climbing competition today. It makes it harder for sure as an athlete when you have to do the overall. Personally, I would like to do speed and discipline I'm not as good as, like lead. But some people chose it here because they think there's less athletes, and it may be good. But if you make finals after speed practice and after 2 rounds of bouldering, wow. Jan is progressing same position. Doesn't seem he wants to change.
No, he likes that method. A minute to go.
That puts quite a lot of pressure on him right now.
Yeah, certainly does.
If he does it in this 50 seconds, so his next go, which is not going to be in a lot of time, he will be 3rd, which is a really good thing for him, a podium position. He's going fast, 40 seconds left. He can kind of relax. Looks like he has the power left in him.
Yeah,
that tired. Here it is.
Yeah, I was slightly surprised he rushed that one, decides not to have another go. 30 seconds to go, so the final boulder is topped by 2 climbers, and they both make it onto the podium. Kokoro Fuji getting congratulations there from Miho Nanaka, so it's gold medal for Japan in the men's and Japan in the women's.
Sean McCall, 2nd place. That's amazing.
Incredible.
That's
incredible.
Amazing. What a comeback.
Yeah, considering the season he had last year.
I think his last podium in bouldering was Innsbruck 2015, maybe?
My brain is going in overdrive. It's a long time since the last podium, though. I mean, he had a really bad 2017 in the bouldering. 2018, it's been gradual improvement. Missed semis in Meiringen. Made the semis, but not the final in Moscow. Claims a silver medal here in Chongqing.
He will be a happy guy.
He will be a happy guy. I wonder how aware he was of the score situation on that final boulder.
Oh, he was.
He had such a good chance to win it, but
he knew. But he also knew. I think he was quite okay with a podium finish, and when he fell from the top, he wasn't so disappointed. So
there we have it. The athletes just beginning to disperse. We'll have the flower ceremony, I believe, on stage, where our top 3 are quickly shown to the crowd. There's Stasha just disappearing off stage left. First World Cup podium for her. This was how he did it, Kokoro Fuji. 3 tops for him. Nobody else could manage more than 2. This was Jerne Kruder. Just a 1 top for him, flash of boulder 1. So that was him sealing the deal on number 4.
Great. I liked Alexi's method as well.
Yeah.
This 1 kick to the hold. I have to say that I'm a bit disappointed with the final. It's after the great final in Meiringen and the great semi-final here as well. I have to say I'm a bit disappointed with this round, that it's based only on 2 boulders. Number 1 was too easy, number 3 was too hard, and this is why you have 4 boulders that you can divide and you can see who is better and more types of climbing. But still, I mean, this is the comp and the athletes know it, and they have to deal with the changes. That's it.
Yeah, well, as we said earlier, same rules. It's the same for everyone, same boulders for everyone. And yeah, route setters maybe didn't quite get number 1, number 3 right, but on balance over the course of the weekend, I think they've done a pretty sterling job. And you see it there. Kokoro Fuji wins. Sean McCall 2nd place. Alexei Rubtsov in 3rd. Jakob Schubert in 4th. Jan Hoyer in 5th, and Jerne Kruder in 6th. Alex, thank you very much for your help. We've got climbing celebrity number 4 of the live stream about to take your place, but always a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Charlie.
And we'll see you in Taiwan at the weekend.
Yes, in the finals.
Off to Shanghai. Of course, yeah. You're off to Shanghai this week?
Yes, I am.
Okay, enjoy.
Thank
Train
you, guys.
hard. Yeah, and
Thanks,
as I say, you won't be available next time. Too busy in the final. Thanks,
All right,
man.
guys. Cheers.
Sean, welcome. Congratulations, you got your breath back after that epic on number 4.
Yeah, thank you.
We were watching you on number 4. That was just an absolute heartbreaker. First emotion when you come down, were you disappointed? I mean, the win was there, or I mean, after how it's been for you, like last season bouldering, take a silver medal, of course.
I mean, in the moment, yeah, I'm disappointed because I knew that I was doing that and I had it on my second try, so it was for the win. And I was on the last move, and I didn't have the undercling well enough, and it was because I was climbing for, I don't know, 2 minutes. Someone's got to check the clock. And so, yeah, I fell. I think my foot slipped right at the last second, and it's hard to say, okay, my foot slipped, but really I was climbing for 2 minutes. Like, your feet are going to slip if you're not perfect. So yeah, I was upset, and then I was just running around. I knew I was going to have to rest. I looked at the clock. I had a minute left, and I was like, whoa, okay, get back on the wall. And I was too tired to give it another really good try. And then I go back, and Jacob's like, hey, you're going to be second or third. And so, yeah, I come out second. So I'm over the moon, especially like you were saying, coming back from injury. It was my first final since my injury, obviously first podium since the injury. So yeah, everything's kind of falling into place, and it's just it's a really good feel good for me.
Talk us through this.
I started climbing, and it's like climbing 101. I don't really know what to do, so I'm like, well, do I match? Do I put my foot up? I'm backwards, so do I reach? And like, where's the final hold? Because the foot chip out right. I think I'm the wrong way, but I previewed it like this, and I said, okay. And then I'm like, yeah, do I need both feet on that volume? Okay, this seems like it's gonna work.
Well, we were speculating that you might try and just spin around and jump in one movement.
That's what I kind of thought I was gonna do, but I couldn't see the final hold, so then I'm trying to peek out, and I'm like, there must be a position here that feels that I can do it, and so I'm trying to find that position. Like, this is not my forte. I was actually already really happy to get to the zone, but I knew that to get to the top, it was for the win. And so then I was like, okay, I think I can come around here, and then I got to about this position with my shoulder, and I was like, oh, I can match. So I just started matching my hand, and it worked, and I was like kind of surprised. And as I came around, then it wrapped around to the good side of the hold, and this is where I was like, I can do the boulder. But here I didn't quite get it with my left hand well enough, and just as I go to like commit for the cross, yeah, my foot slipped, and then I was trying to keep my heart rate up, and I didn't really know what to do. I was just kind of running around, and I wanted to jump off the wall, but I knew that would be a try, so that's why I jumped off the wall at the end. But yeah, happy with second place.
Well, I mean, it was tough to watch at the time, but as I say, when you look back, silver medal in bouldering, given your injury and everything, that's a pretty amazing result.
Yeah, it's part of the game, and it's going to be a long season, so happy I'm in finals and on the podium.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching at home. Fantastic final here again in Chongqing. Boulders are back in action in just a week's time, but don't go anywhere. We've got the speed finals coming up. Thanks for watching.